Hang on, let me refresh the stream.
We're live on the Hangout.
And that we're live. All right, I've just got the page open, waiting for me to pop up on the screen. What's up, guys? Welcome to King Kraken Sports. We are here for the second annual live roundtable mock draft. We're getting started a little bit late. I know the stream said 9:30. This is actually supposed to take place. What was it? Friday, Jeremy?
Yeah, Friday.
Yeah. Oh, yo, just mute your part of the stream if you can. I don't know.
I don't know where.
Okay, never mind. Don't worry. All right, whatever. I'm all over the place, it seems. All right, so we're getting started a little bit late. The third member of this is running just a couple minutes late, but didn't want to hold you guys up any longer. So in the meantime, before we get into it, first of all, let me introduce myself. You guys should know this is my channel after all. Mike, aka the King Kraken from Toronto, Ontario, joining me from Atlanta, Georgia, the Texas Homeboy, Jeremy Welch. What's going on, Jeremy?
Not too much, man. I'm excited for draft season just like everybody else, and currently trying to finish a paper that's due tomorrow.
Oh, fuck. Man, this has just not been a good week as far as planning. This was supposed to take place a couple days ago, but two of us fell asleep before the time, so we had to reschedule and shit. Third member of our team is just running a couple minutes late, watching the Cavs game. He'll be joining us at halftime. So until then, Jeremy and I are going to go back and forth and talk some draft topics. We're going to talk, a little bit about who we like in the draft, who we think is a little bit overrated, who's a little bit underrated, just to kind of get the draft juices flowing, if you will. Now, what I'm also going to do quickly is I am going to tweet this out, and just to make sure that y'all know that we're live. If you guys are having fun, let me know in the chat. Share, get some more people in here. I love hearing some input on what you guys think. This should be a really fun night. Ironically, we're doing this the same night that NFL Network is doing theirs.
Oh wow!
They started theirs at 9, so there we go. Let me tweet this out. So we have live. In case any of you guys didn't see last year's, which some of you may not have, we like to have a little bit of fun. And by a little bit of fun, I mean a lot of fun. We get off topic pretty quickly, and this may go long. And I'm not entirely sure how long it will go, especially considering we're waiting on a third party. But you know what? We're going to have some fun. We're going to talk the draft. Prepare yourselves, guys. This might be a long night.
Yes, sir.
So, I guess we could start with right off the top. Who are some of the more overrated guys in this class? I'll let you start, because you and I normally don't talk about the draft.
Yeah, not much. Hard question to be put on the spot.
Yeah.
One that I've been kind of following closely just because I've seen a bunch of people mocking him to the Cowboys, especially NFL Network, is Calvin Ridley.
Yeah. You're just not a Ridley guy?
No, not really. I don't think he's a bad player, to say the least. I just think there's other receivers that I think are better in this class. And I don't know what his exact numbers, but I know that the NFL Network guys have just absolutely fallen in love with the idea of putting Calvin Ridley on the Cowboys. And when they were providing their analysis, they were talking about how he just has such elite, amazing speed. And I don't remember his exact numbers from the combine, but I don't remember him just blowing everybody away. I think it was towards the top, but not at the top.
At the combine, he ran a 4.43. I just looked it up.
Okay.
Like, it's
So
not
yeah,
blazing, but it's fast, but it's not like,
yeah,
oh my
yeah,
god,
it's
fast.
fast, but it's not like top of the line fast. And so yeah, I mean he's a Bama product, and they've had a very long list of receivers that have come out and produced in the NFL. So I get it, but yeah, like I said, I don't think he's a bad receiver in the sense. I just think that there's other receivers like Cortland Sutton, DJ Moore that are ahead of him.
Okay.
And I've seen in a bunch of mock drafts that people have been saying he's the best receiver in the class, and he's usually the first one off the board. So
Yeah. My most overrated player. Now, all right. I know a lot of people, especially on Twitter, are going to say it's Josh Allen.
yeah, that's a very good one.
Like, a lot of people are going to say it's Josh Allen. My most overrated player is not Josh Allen. My most overrated player is Marcus Davenport.
That's interesting.
And I'll tell you why. The reason why Marcus Davenport to me is so overrated is when did he produce, like, at all? He seemingly just really didn't. And even when he did produce, it was, Marshall or Louisiana Monroe or any of these like directional colleges.
Yeah, I mean, he was at UTSA, so he wasn't playing any like Power Five schools or
Oh
anything.
no,
So
and I knew he wasn't facing that, but when's the best time for a player to kind of right that ship? And that would be the the Senior Bowl, and he
right.
just didn't do it. I'm hearing weird reverberations of my own voice from, I guess, your stream. Do you have the stream open in another tab?
I do not.
That's weird. Then see, now it's gone.
Huh?
Yeah.
Is it good now?
Yeah, I think we're good.
Okay.
All right, let me just check the score on the Cavs game, and then I'm gonna go bug Lawson again. It
The
is
Cavs
minute.
are up 12 with 157 left.
All right. So hang on, guys. We're getting there. Trying to think. I was talking to Lawson about this the other day, and I want to get your opinion on this. Is it me, or is this draft kind of like really anticlimactic?
Yeah.
Because like when you think about it, think about who were the big names we were talking about in the summer, and they're still the big names we're talking about.
Yeah. I could agree with that. And
Yeah, like last year, like yeah, we knew about like Fournette and Watson, but then like Solomon Thomas started getting talked about. Mitchell Trubisky and Ryan Ramchick and Garrett Bowles, and we had all these risers in the class, and like Deshaun Kaiser came out of nowhere for a bit, then fell back, and this year it's just like, yeah, we kind of knew the top three quarterbacks that were probably going to get taken were, Darnold and Rosen and Allen, and now there's Baker Mayfield, who's kind of the biggest surprise, yet also not a surprise. Like it's really just been kind of a boring draft year.
yeah. I was talking to one of my friends about this the other day. This class seems kind of weird because it seems like there's like 5 or 6 like elite talent, and then maybe a little bit more than that. But then once you get past like say like the top 8 guys, it's just a bunch of like good talent. There isn't. I don't know. I feel like years past, there's been a lot more better talent on the board.
It's very top heavy.
Yeah, because I was actually talking to Kyle. We're talking about the Bears pick at 8, and I mean, if let's just say hypothetically, if the Bears are on the board and like Bradley Chubb and Minka Fitzpatrick are off the board, if you're not taking a linebacker, like what player on defense are you really going after?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I'm pretty sure. I mean, that's why I'm looking forward to this, is because that's another thing about tonight, is that it's not going to be exactly what's going to happen this coming Thursday, we're going to have a little bit more fun. We're going to take a little bit more liberties. There's no trades. We're probably not going to actually pick 4 quarterbacks in the top 5. Like, we're going to have a little bit more fun. Last year, fucking Mitchell Trubisky didn't even get drafted in round 1, according to us. John Ross didn't get drafted in round 1, according to us. Those guys both went in the top 10.
Yep.
I watched it back the other day, and Solomon Thomas went like 17th. Like I said, we take liberties, and we have way too much fun doing this.
Yeah.
And, I just really hope that whoever's watching this, and I know there's not a lot of people, probably watching this live, and there's going to be a lot of people that tune in tomorrow, or maybe there'll be some people that tune in tomorrow. I don't know. There's been a kind of a tough year for YouTube. But, just kind of hope that people enjoy this. And I don't know. Part of me is also just kind of hoping that this draft season just kind of wraps up quickly. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like, and there's so many, there's just such different media agendas, when it comes to this year's draft, that, certain outlets are just almost unwatchable.
Yeah.
Like, I've barely watched NFL Network this year because I can't. It's not been good. They talk really the same thing over and over and over again, and just kind of, I don't know. It's not the same this year as it used to be. Like, Path to the Draft, I've got it recording every day, and I barely watch it. Also, this has been one of the worst years to have any sort of take in the NFL draft this year, because this year, you can't, you either love Josh Allen or you hate him.
Yep.
Or, you love Baker Mayfield or you hate him. Yep. Or you love, Lamar Jackson or you're a racist. Like, there's so many camps in this year's draft that it becomes so frustrating. And this year was a really tough year to try to get anything out there. So let me just take a look at the Cavs score one more time. They're at halftime. So I'm going to send our final member a invite, as I now cannot fucking control my laptop. I can't find a comfortable position to save my fucking soul. All right. Again, this has not been the smoothest start, but we'll make it work. We'll make it work. We always do. Last year, I think we were a little bit late. Last year, I think we went really, really long too. So maybe this year we'll go a little bit shorter, just to counteract the rough start. And the reason why we haven't started the actual picking order is that the one running late has the first overall pick.
Of course.
Yes, because of course. So yes, just a rundown. So Lawson, who is running late, he picks for the Browns. He'll have both picks for the Browns. Jeremy, I believe you've got both picks for the Patriots. Yes, you do.
Yep.
And I've got both picks for the Buffalo Bills. We're also all picking for our favorite team. So Jeremy will pick for the Cowboys. Lawson will pick for the Chargers, and I will pick for the what's that big trophy we've now got? What's that thing called?
Oh, Jesus.
What's that thing called, Jeremy?
There we go.
Yeah. Oh, I believe they call it a Super Bowl.
Oh, my Lord.
You knew I was going to go there. You absolutely fucking knew it. Yes, I will be picking for the world champion Philadelphia Eagles, who will be marching into Arlington, Texas in Dallas Stadium, or what is it, Dallas Stadium? Is that what they call that big fucking Taj Mahal ode to Jerry Jones?
It's AT&T Stadium.
AT&T Stadium. My apologies. They will be.
I don't think they're holding it there though.
Yes, they are.
I thought it was at the like the new practice facility in Frisco or something like that.
I heard it was the fucking it was Jerry World.
Okay.
Regardless, they will be deep in the heart of Texas in Jeremy's hometown, and that 32nd pick will be the rival Philadelphia Eagles.
I'm just glad this is the it's gonna be the first draft ever where when the Cowboys pick, they aren't gonna be booed.
Yeah. Although, I mean, fans travel well. There may still end up being more Cowboys fans and Cowboys fans in that.
Yeah. Well, crap. Wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. All right. One more, I guess, question that we can throw out there, and anyone watching, feel free to comment down below. How many quarterbacks go in round one? I think we know 4 for sure, maybe 5. But is there gonna be a 6th?
I don't think so. I think at max. Yeah, I'd say 5.
Just the 5 that we all think.
Yeah. I mean, if I had to say, it'd be actually.
Oh, go
there
ahead.
might be 6. I mean,
Mason Rudolph.
Obvious ones are Rosen, Allen, Darnold, Mayfield, Lamar Jackson, and then I can see Rudolph.
Like someone.
there's obviously going to be a run on QBs.
Yeah.
Say that again.
Oh no, just if someone traded back in.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a run on QBs in the top 10, probably 3, maybe 4 taken, and then Buffalo, if they don't trade into the top 5, I think they're definitely, which I think they will end up trading.
Yeah.
They're more than likely taking QB at 12. You can see Arizona at 15 going quarterback. The Patriots with one of their 2 firsts might go quarterback. So I'd say at least 5. I wouldn't be surprised if there were 6 though.
Yeah.
And if it would be 6, I think it would be Rudolph.
Yeah, I think there's 5. And I'm not really sure because I think realistically, I think the Giants probably end up going quarterback, and we'll see whether. Spoiler alert: I have the Giants pick. We'll see whether they go quarterback with me at the helm. But I think realistically, when draft day rolls around, there will be some fuckery in terms of players slipping down the board. So I would say probably those top 4 go in the top 5 or 6 picks, and then maybe Arizona trades back if one of those quarterbacks isn't there, and picks them late. So again, I'm still waiting for him. I've sent out the invite. Haven't heard a word. This is a little frustrating. I hope that Cavs game is worth it, man. Man, I'm scrolling through Twitter right now, and I'm seeing highlights of TNA. And when did it become ECW?
Oh, that's a good question. I know they have a pay-per-view tonight.
Yeah, I'm seeing like clips from it, and like guys are being put through tables and like ladders and shit.
Yeah, I mean they've always been fairly extreme.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I'm just trying to salvage some more time that we got. This is been running a little long. Been running about 20 minutes now.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck. I think we've kind of also run out of shit to say to kill time. Well, okay. So since neither of us have the first pick, if you're Cleveland, which quarterback would you take?
Um, I'd probably go Mayfield because I
Yeah.
think he's the best QB in this class. And I think he also has the highest ceiling in this class. Just um, amazing dual threat ability. Doesn't get the credit for his accuracy just because he's a dual threat quarterback.
Yeah.
Gets off. I've seen a bunch of people mention his off the field concerns, which I don't really know what that stems from. I mean, I know people have issues with his antics on the field, but he's an ultra competitor, playmaker. Like I said, great accuracy for a dual threat quarterback. I mean, people also knock him for being only 6 foot, but yeah, I think he's the best QB in this draft. So
I would go with Josh Rosen. And Rosen's been my number one QB pretty much since fucking July. I think that there's a lot more with his game than there is to a Sam Darnold, and he did have the bad start to the season like Darnold did, but it was because he was coming off of an injury, and yes, durability is a concern of Josh Rosen's just because he's been hurt every year he's been in college. But sometimes there's only like so much you can do, and you know what? He had not a lot of talent around him either.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So he's on his way.
I feel like Josh Rosen's kind of like the safest quarterback in this class.
Yeah, he definitely the safest. I think Darnold. Personally, if you're ranking in terms of safeness, I would go Rosen, then like Darnold, Mayfield, just because again you got to worry about his size too. He's small, and then Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Hey,
I'm here.
yes. The fuck you are. Don't worry, man. We literally have been stalling for the last like 20-something minutes.
I know, man. I'm sorry.
It's all good. It's all good. Shit happens.
Yeah.
So, joining us, this beautiful specimen of a human being here, the linebacker for the St. Mary's Huskies, finally recovered off of that torn shoulder labrum that kept him out of action for like 16 months or whatever it was.
Long time, man. Too long.
Too fucking long. Lawson Morsudi, what's up, Lawson?
Not much, my man. How we doing tonight? Jeremy, what's up, man? Is he in here?
Yo, Jer?
Yep.
Up.
There he is. He scared me, man. You give me a heart attack for a second.
So yeah, like what we did was we just kind of went through like just also for some time because we knew that you were busy. Obviously, you got Lawson's a very popular person, man. Big man on campus. We talked about like who our most overrated prospects are, most overrated prospect, like who we would pick with the number one pick. Now I'm going to leave that one to you, and let's just get right into this.
Don't touch it.
Number one pick, Cleveland Browns. Where are we going?
All right, we're already on the clock, man. I like this. So
we're getting right into the clock. We've wasted 20 minutes.
Oh yeah, big time. Yeah, I'm loving it, man. So obviously thankful to be back again, and we've already had a lot of fun.
Year, man.
Yeah, I know. We always had a lot of fun doing this one, and fortunately, I've always had the first overall pick, and that's a lot of pressure sometimes, But I want to preface all my picks with saying I don't give a fuck. Can I curse next swear?
Yo, dude, do you know how many times we cursed last year?
Okay, no, probably too many. Yeah, I don't give a fuck what the haters think. I just want to let everybody know this is what I would do if I was a GM, and probably I'll be a trash GM. But who cares? So first overall pick, Cleveland Browns. Let's talk about needs, right? We all know, quarterbacks on the board. They have their pick of the lot. They can take whoever they want to pick. I think in the AFC North, you look at who they got to play, and they play outside most of the times. You got to have a big arm to go outside. You got to be able to sling that ball down the field and push it in elements where, you know, not even a T-shirt launcher can get it to the top row, right? That's my first overall pick. I'm taking quarterback Josh Allen from Wyoming.
Shit.
Yeah,
Ooh,
Josh Allen.
okay.
Damn, I didn't think he was
Okay.
going there.
Yeah, man.
Well then.
I'm telling you, hey, I told you I'm coming with some curveballs this year.
Yeah.
And I think it's a fit where he's not ready now. That's why you get a Tyrod.
Yeah.
You put Tyrod in there. You work this guy for a year in you know, Todd Haley's systems and whatever. And you know, I think he has the traits that you can coach him up and teach him up, and he could be a solid, productive player.
Now what we're gonna do is Jeremy and I are each gonna give ourselves a little bit of time to talk about that pick. Maybe a minute or so. Lawson, I just want to ask you one question.
Yeah, what's up, man?
Where do you think I have Josh Allen on my board?
I think he's your fourth quarterback, probably, maybe fifth.
Yeah, but like on the big board, give me a range.
Oh man, probably between 25 and 40.
Josh Allen is my number 44 player.
I'm right on.
He's also my fifth QB.
I'm telling you, man. I think we take into account where you're playing. Right, we're playing all cold. We're playing all shit climates, and we got to make sure we can throw that thing.
To bring it back to last year's, I think we lost Jeremy. I don't know.
I think Jeremy's gone.
I think he dropped out. Hang on, let me send that invite back again. When it came to last year, what did we say about Cleveland? Shit place.
Shit place.
Yeah. So that's
Hey, but I'm telling you, look, man. I know last year I said shit place, but I'm fully on the Believeland bandwagon. It honestly hurts my soul to see a team go 1-31 in 2 years.
When you regress from a 1-win season.
You know what I mean? Like, they used to have such a history in Cleveland, and they used to be a force within the NFL. And nobody deserves to go 1-31. And I think that they're definitely on the rise. I think they're making some good moves this offseason, and they're heading in the right direction. And I'm going to predict that within 3 years they're in the playoffs. I'm telling you right now.
All right. So, Jeremy, you cut out right before you were able to talk about it. So, Josh Allen, number 1.
Yeah, that is a little bit surprising. I think having Tyrod start in front of him could help him out. I don't see him as a quarterback that he can plug and play. I think he needs some time to develop. I think he's a very high risk, high reward quarterback. He has some accuracy issues, and my really biggest concern with him is if you look at his stats, he against big time not even big time, just like Power 5 schools, he really struggled, and the only time he really had good games was Wyoming's Mountain West?
They're Mountain West, yeah.
Yeah, in conference games and lower level schools. So I don't think he'll be a complete bust. He's got the arm strength that most scouts love. So, and playing in Cleveland, you do need to have a big arm. Sitting under a year or two under Tyrod and learning under Todd Haley, he could develop into a good quarterback. So I don't hate the pick, but it's definitely a surprising one.
Yeah. All right. So moving on, we got the New York Giants, and I think I'm gonna probably pick a little different from what the Giants are gonna do on Thursday. Now, if I'm the Giants, I know that Eli Manning is like 3 years past being washed up. And but Jeremy, you and I both being fans of teams in the NFC East, when was the last time the Giants made a solid football decision? It's been a while. So, in true New York Giants fashion, I'm even going to pass on my number 1 player on the board because I am taking Quentin Nelson out of Notre Dame.
Yeah.
I am passing on the kid from the New York area that plays a position of need for the Giants in Saquon Barkley because I feel like, one, they really don't have much in the interior offensive line anyways, and two, just like how the Browns have been made fun of for making bonehead decisions, the Giants are going to be the next team that makes really, really bonehead decisions. So I'm going to go Quentin Nelson.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a bonehead pick. I think this guy is, a plug and play for the next 10 years, potential All-Pro, and certainly a Pro Bowler. I mean, this guy is one of the best players in the whole draft at any position.
He's my number 2 player,
right? At any position, and at a guard, nonetheless, right? And I think, you have a guy there who you put in the inside, and he's gonna, help keep Eli upright. Even an upright Eli is a shit Eli, but I think you plug him in there to help your run game. We've seen running backs a dime a dozen, right? Saquon's a generational talent, don't get me wrong, but you take a guy in the third or fourth round and you work with what you got and you beef up that offensive line. And they've made moves on their offensive line this offseason of free agency, and I just think this is another kind of it could be another testament to that kind of move forward and their demeanor going forward.
Jeremy?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it was like a reach of a pick or anything. I
think it was a surprise, and like that.
Yeah, it's definitely a surprise.
The three of us love to go with just surprises. We love it.
It's definitely
we want this to be like every random mock draft you'll find online.
It's definitely a position of need. The Giants still have a bunch of holes on the offensive line. But yeah, you could throw him right in the left guard and pairing him next to Nate Solder, who they just signed in the offseason. You already got some talent on the offensive line. Yeah, like you said, it's one of their biggest needs. I think quarterback would be a bigger need, and if I'm a Giants fan, that's probably what I'm hoping for. I don't like you said, Saquon's a generational talent, but I don't think you take a running back at 2, especially with the needs that they have. So I don't think Quentin Nelson's a bad pick at all.
Now, hang on. I am potentially reading on Twitter that the Bills acquired the 4th pick, but that looks like that might just be Uncle. Yeah, this is Chaps. All right, never mind. It looks like the. Hang on, I'm just gonna Google it just to make sure. Tools. In the past hour. Does not look like this has actually happened.
Maybe on draft day. See someone come up on draft day.
Yeah.
Oh, no. It was a trade from 2014.
Oh, fucking hell. God damn it. All right.
When they traded up for Sammy.
Yeah, it's a Sammy Watkins trade because the fucking Browns had the 4th pick in that draft too. All right, never mind.
False alarm.
False alarm, everyone. False alarm. All right, we didn't break news on this. Fuck it. So now, Jeremy, you were on the clock with the least favorite team of mine in the NFL, the New York Jets. Even though I'm an Eagles fan, I hate the Jets for personal reasons. So this is all on you.
Okay.
I think I gave you the Jets last year, too.
Did I really?
I think you had the Jets last year, too.
Oh, wow. Okay. I mean, with the Jets, the pretty obvious need is that quarterback. They've been bouncing around a quarterback since Mark Sanchez left. I mean, Josh McCown was a decent
left.
Yeah. I mean, they've had quarterback issues for a very long time. Josh McCown's been a decent plug and play, but years are long gone, and he's just a spot starter at this point.
What about Teddy Two Gloves?
Yeah, I mean, I think I think signing him to a 1-year deal is very smart. Jury's still out on him. You don't know how he's going to come back after that injury. And even with Teddy signing Teddy, I still think you need to go with the quarterback just to make sure you have your guy just in case Teddy doesn't work out. And with Josh Allen going 1, I mean, there's in a lot of people's minds you the best quarterback still available on the board. I'm going to take a guy that a lot of people think is the best QB in this draft. I think he accuracy is just through the roof. I think he's a guy that's going to be able to handle the New York media and attention, and that is Josh Rosen.
Yeah, that's my guy.
Josh Rosen. See, I already typed in Sam Darnold.
Nah.
You're going Josh Rosen, eh? Second as the best quarterback in the draft. I think the guy's got some skills.
Quarterback too.
Listen, the guy's got some skills, and you know, we always hear people rave about, oh, this guy's got arm talent that nobody else has. He can make these throws that nobody else has, and I've seen it, and I've been impressed by it. But I've also seen some very questionable things from Josh Rosen, and I don't know if he is as plug and play ready as some people, you know, think that he is. And it's my personal opinion that unless you're Andrew Luck or Peyton Manning, once in a lifetime talents, you should not plug and play a quarterback first year. I don't care. I think you should always try to sit. And I think they're in a position there where, you know, you sit a quarterback you draft and you tough out McCown because he's proved to be, you know, a 500 starter and he can battle it out. And let's be honest, the Jets aren't going the distance either way.
No.
Right? Let's sit whoever we draft. You develop them in the system for a year and you redshirt them and then you put them into the spotlight. A guy like Josh Rosen never had his spotlight or never had his red shirt. Right? He was thrown into the fire as a freshman, which could be bad, but you know, he was pretty good, right? When he was thrown into the fire, let's give him that year and see what he can actually be.
Yeah, and you know what? I think there's the whole, you know, like he did have a bad start to the year, but at the same time, he was coming off of a really bad shoulder injury.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and you saw his play get better as the year went on. So, I mean, he's my number 5 player. He's my number 1 quarterback. I like the pick, so. I'm not going to bash that in any way. So Lawson, now you're back on the clock. With the Cleveland Browns again, by way of the Houston Texans in the Deshaun Watson trade.
Yeah, and honestly, if come Thursday, this is how the situation works out for Cleveland, I don't think we'll see a faster pick.
I know it. I'm already taking it in.
Yeah, I don't know that you'll see the card run up any faster than this. I'd be surprised if there's any more than 30 seconds ticked off the clock. I mean, this one's a no-brainer, right? We go out, we draft a guy who we pair with our quarterback for the future. We make our offense better entirely. Right? You take Saquon Barkley with this pick, and I think you take anyone else, you're entirely misguided with your vision of the team. I don't think any defensive player adds enough value at the 4th overall pick. And I don't think any offensive player that's still on the board adds enough value like Saquon does. And they get these 2 picks. Look out for the Browns.
No, I mean, Lawson, is he your number 1 player in the class?
Yep.
Jeremy?
No, he's 2. I have Nelson 1.
Okay. Well, I've got Barkley 1, then Nelson 2. So the only reason I didn't take Barkley at 2 is that I've seen it about 787,000 times. And I just wanted to be different. Realistically, I think he doesn't make it past 2.
No.
I don't think so either.
And I think that if he makes it past 2, then he obviously goes to Cleveland, which I think would piss off Saquon Barkley so much because I don't know if you guys knew this. He grew up a Jets fan.
Yes.
And then the Jets pass him over.
Yes, his dad has a Jets tattoo.
Yeah.
I also wouldn't be surprised, and I was thinking that number 1 of taking Saquon, knowing that nobody would take Josh Allen as a quarterback. But I know, you know, even if you're Cleveland, right? Let's say you're in love with these 3 guys, right? Both Joshes and Sam. You almost roll the dice and you take Saquon 1 and you say whoever's
left,
we'll take him, right? We want to make sure we're getting Saquon, right?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
We'll see.
I mean, I knew that whenever we picked Saquon, especially at 4, after we had really, well, I guess the big surprise was Cleveland at the top with Josh Allen and Nelson to the Giants at 2. That we really weren't going to have to spend a lot of time talking about him. So let's go to Denver, and I think Quentin Nelson would be a great fit in Denver, but he's obviously gone to the Giants. Barkley would have been great considering they just stupidly cut C.J. Anderson.
Mm-hmm.
Why you cut C.J. Anderson with how consistent he is, I don't understand.
Yeah, questionable.
But I look at that defense, and the defense is okay, but I mean, Lawson, I sent you that text the other day about that Denver beat writer talking about how you trade. Or I don't know whether it's Denver or Miami. Someone said that Paxton Lynch is better than every quarterback in this class, and well, that was very wrong of him to say that. And if Paxton Lynch or Chad Kelly or I don't even know if they have Simeon anymore. Jeremy, is he still there?
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, he got traded.
So.
I think he got traded.
Oh, I don't know.
He's on Minnesota now, I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So Simeon's not even there. So right now you're stuck with Paxton Lynch and Swag Kelly. That needs to change.
They signed Case Keenum.
Oh shit, they did sign Case Keenum. You are correct. I forgot. Yeah, so they do have Case Keenum, but is Case Keenum going to be a really reliable option for you? It's John Elway. John Elway likes quarterbacks. John Elway needs, would probably prefer a proven quarterback. It's probably why you would have gone and overpaid Kirk Cousins if he had the chance. But I'm going to pass on the quarterback, and I am going to go with they traded Talib. I'm going to go Denzel Ward.
Ooh.
Okay.
My whole thought is that no fly zone, whatever the fuck they called it, the year they won the Super Bowl when they had Chris Harris and Aqib Talib and Bradley Roby. They always had 3 premier corners, and I think that Denzel Ward right now is better than Aqib Talib is right now. Just because I think that there's a reason they traded Talib. He's like 31, 32. He's low-key kind of getting old. And the way the board falls, I think if Josh Allen was there, Denver would run the pickup because Josh Allen reminds John Elway of John Elway. But with him not being there, I think Denzel Ward makes a lot of sense here.
Mm. Yeah, definitely a solid pick, and I think you're on point with the 3 cover guys, right? They always like to have 2 solid outsiders and a good guy in the nickel, and I think Chris Harris has shown his value within the nickel, and Denzel Ward is certainly a guy who could play either of those positions and fits right in. And I mean, you mentioned the whole quarterback bit. I think Case is a spot starter for a year or 2, but I remember hearing John Elway, this is before they signed Case, but I think it still holds some value, said that they're not going to stop swinging at quarterbacks until they find the one. And I think that's a premise that we'll see within this draft, whether it's a guy at 5, if the guy they like is there, or in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, they're going to draft someone. I think with probably in the first 2 days they'll draft the quarterback. But
just a little bit of a delayed response. We don't have anyone active in chat in the stream, but we do have a buddy of mine who is a Cowboys fan. So Jeremy, you've got at least a buddy watching. He does not agree with your Jets pick. He says that Darnold would be the pick over Rosen.
Of all the quarterback picks we've taken, Rosen's
the one that gets questioned
at 3. Yeah.
Not fucking, Josh Allen, who I don't know if you guys saw this tweet. Lawson, you obviously did because you don't have Twitter. Someone found the completion percentages for Josh Allen every year since high school. And the community college year he spent, his completion percentage was 46%.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's bad.
That's your guy at number 1, though. That's your guy at number 1.
Hey, we can fix that. We'll coach him up. Don't worry about it.
All right. So now, Jeremy, you are on the board with the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah. It's kind of funny because I was right when the trade was announced that the Jets traded up to 3 and the Colts traded back down to 6. I was talking to one of my friends about this exact scenario happening. I think one of the biggest needs for the Colts right now is on defense. Since Robert Mathis has kind of fallen off and ended up retiring, they haven't had a premier pass rusher and an elite pass rusher to help out that defense. And if this was, I don't remember when the trade went down, but if this was before the trade and I had the 3rd pick, I'd take this guy at 3. This is some consider the best defensive player in the draft. I'm going Bradley Chubb, defensive end.
I got no complaints. He's my number 1 edge. He's my number 3 player in the class. He's my highest ranked defender. That slam dunk. He's one of the. He is the textbook case as to why sometimes people shouldn't just rush into declaring for the draft, because he would have been like a late 1st, early 2nd last year, and now he's one of the best players in the draft. Was one of the best players in the country this year.
No, yeah, absolutely. I think I think Bradley Chubb's shown a lot of great things on film, and his progression over the years is promising, right? You want to see a guy grow every year as well as dominate every year, and he sure did. And again, he would have been the pick at 3 for me as well if Indianapolis kept the pick, but having traded back, it makes sense. We get a little bit more draft capital in the trade, and we still get the guy that we wanted, right? From Bradley Chubb, I would like to see a little bit more development within, a little bit of effort and a little bit of flexibility. I think those are 2 things that he can work on a little bit more, and instead of just trying to get by on being a man child and just freakishly destroying everybody. It's a next level, right? We got to make sure that we're dealing with things and technique wise, especially, right? We want to make sure we're covered. But I mean, the guy has shown the growth every year, and I expect him to come in and be a double-digit sack guy within a couple of years for sure.
Yeah. All right, so Lawson, you're up with the 7th pick in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who took a step back last year. They I think they picked 19th last year.
Mm-hmm.
And this year they definitely kind of reverted back to being the Yucks.
Yeah, hard regression for sure, right? I remember the year before seeing them kind of keep moving up, and they actually they beat the Chargers that year, which wasn't hard to do, to be honest. But it was a game in which I thought that we had, and they stole one from us. And I remember thinking, okay, the Bucs are kind of putting it together, and I think they had a solid draft last year, and it honestly surprised me a little bit, but that they took such a step down the ladder. I think that in free agency this year, they really showed where they were going to target within the draft, having signed so many offensive players. I think we get a guy on the offensive line. We invest a lot of money into the receiver position at Mike Evans. And obviously you got Jabo back there. Jabo wins. I think this year we're really focused on defense and trying to get back to the championship Buccaneers, right? We're trying to reinstill some of the things within there. We're trying to have, shut down in the pass game, especially with that division there. We got to cover Cam Newton and those guys, Drew Brees, Matt Ryan, those guys. I think one of the most versatile cover guys in the entire draft this year is going to Tampa at number 7. I'm taking Minkah Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, I like this pick.
I think he's a guy in which you can put anywhere within your secondary. You could put him at free safety. I've heard some people say I don't think he could play free. I think he could. I think he has the instincts, the fluidity, and just the range and the length to play that position. He's not afraid to hit you in the mouth. He could play strong safety for you. I think he could be a press guy all day long if he wanted to, and I just think it makes a ton of sense to fit him into that secondary.
I mean, I think he'd be a better free safety than he would be a strong safety because he's got really good ball skills.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot of chat that because of how good of an athlete Derwin James is, that he would be picked before Minka Fitzpatrick, and I can definitely see that.
Mhm.
But I mean, at the end of the day, Minka's just so like they're both just so good.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
someone's getting a fucking bargain when they get them. So
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
I think Minka is the overall pick there because of the versatility. Right? You can play him corner, you can put him in the slot, you can put him free. You know, he's shown all those things, and he's shown the production, the ball skills. Right? Minka's Fitzpatrick for a reason. This guy gets the ball in his hands and he scores touchdowns.
I mean, he's my number 4 player. So this is a great great bargain.
Yeah, big time.
All right. I am on the clock now with the Chicago Bears. Kyle, if you're watching this, feel free to DM me all of your angry thoughts at this pick. You know, I look at that team, and Jarrell Freeman got suspended, and Danny Trevathan hasn't been necessarily all that great since coming over. He's been okay, but not what he was in Denver. So I think that the pick needs to be a knock it out of the fucking park. This is a no-brainer. This is a run it up to the podium pick. This is Roquan Smith.
Ooh, good one.
I like that.
I mean, Smith kind of, you know, Lawson, you and I were talking about this the other day, and Jeremy, you and I were talking about this earlier. Like, Roquan is kind of the one guy that really came out as a surprise this year and like rose from kind of obscurity. Didn't really get talked about till midway through the season. And I mean, he made himself some fucking money throughout this entire season. And he's a little undersized. He's like 6 feet. I think he's only about 225 tops. But, you know, that's kind of what this like new age linebacker is. You look at your Darren Lees, your Ryan Shazier's, Shay Leave. Get better, Ryan. You know, they're these small, quick linebackers that just pack a serious punch when they hit you, and that's Roquan Smith in a nutshell. My comparison for him is Ryan Shazier.
Yeah, I think he's very much a Ryan Shazier, and I gotta be honest, man, I don't like the fit with him in Chicago. I don't think he fits necessarily who they have there right now and what they have going on within their schemes. Right, you see, he's certainly within that new age, but Danny Trevathan is a linebacker who is on the end of his career of the new age, right? I don't know if you want to pair two of those guys together because I don't know that it makes for a very efficient combination. I think, you know, Roquan certainly made himself some money this year, and he'll be a top 15 pick for sure this year. My one major flaw against him is if, you know, you get second level with those big hogs, Roquan is eliminated. If he takes one false step and he gets hands on, he's done.
Yeah,
he hasn't shown the ability to stack and shed, and he hasn't shown that kind of that dogfight, right? I've seen him get caked a couple times, but hey, when this guy sees it, and he's a heat-seeking missile. I mean, this guy flies to the ball, and he causes some havoc when he gets there. But I think that's almost an upside of Roquan, is that he has a lot more to grow and he has a lot more to learn within the NFL.
What's up, Mike's on? Welcome to the live stream, man. How's it going?
What's up, Mike?
All right. So, man, we got, you know, not as many people in the chat as we had last year. I think we had like 9 last year. I think we've only got a couple tonight. I think just because we were a little bit late and shit. And, you know, it's hard to find this type of shit. Even the people who are here, it's kind of quiet. So, you know, let us know what you guys think of the picks so far. Anything you guys like, if you need a recap, let us know. More than happy to. So, Jeremy, you're on the clock now with the San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah, okay. The 49ers. I feel like one of the biggest needs for the Niners right now is the linebacker position. I mean, Navarro Bowman was a staple on that team for a long time, and he's now moved on. And Reuben Foster, who many thought was the absolute steal of the draft, is now
doing Reuben Foster things.
A bunch of off the field issues have surfaced, and I mean, there's legit concern if he's going to play football again. So
He's facing serious jail time right now.
Yeah. And the 49ers have, for a while, have had a staple at the linebacker position. And so with the 9th pick, I'm going to give them Tremaine Edmonds, the linebacker out of Virginia Tech.
Ooh, I love it.
Absolute freak, 6'5", 250, but has amazing quick speed, gets into the backfield, and just a great linebacker, and fills a hole that going into the offseason, I don't think the 49ers expected to have, but it is one now. So,
and you mentioned he's like 6'5", 250. You forgot to mention the one thing that makes him just like so much better of a prospect than even what you listed. He's 19.
19.
Yeah.
Like, fuck.
Yeah, that's insane. You know, you look at how big he is and how talented he is already at 19.
He's got room to get bigger. Like his frame,
Yeah,
he can get
he
bigger.
can fill out, you know, and all the flaws that I had against him and watching film were, you know, I think just due to some inexperience and some of his age, you know, just getting a little too ahead of himself, right? Relying too much upon just being the best athlete on the field and just being a freak of nature, that he feels like he can just go and make a play whenever he can. And that puts him in a bad position sometimes. I don't think he trusts his eyes enough. And I think his body just kind of takes over and just wants to go and make the hit and make the play. But I think, you know, you put him in San Francisco, he'll learn for sure. And that's, fuck, man, the kid's amazing. The kid's a freak.
He's my 9th overall player for a fucking reason. I wasn't sure he was going to declare this year, and at the end of the day, I was really glad he did.
Yeah, I would have loved to see him one more year at Virginia Tech to see.
Oh man,
can he step further? Right? Can he step further? And he still would have been, you know, 19 or 20, sorry, in the draft, which is still considerably young. But yeah, shit, 19 years old, just an insane kind of age to enter such a high level of sport.
Yeah. Now, Jeremy, you also have the 10th pick with the Oakland Raiders because of some maneuvering with the draft order. So you get to pick for both Bay Area teams.
Okay. See, like I was telling you earlier, Mike, this is kind of like the weird part in the draft to now where, especially on the defensive side, we've kind of fallen off a tier. And looking at the Raiders roster, one area that I think needs to be addressed is corners. And this pick is probably going to shock you all a little bit. They did draft Garyon Conley last year, but
we all know what happened there.
Yeah. Sean Smith, is he even still on the team anymore?
I can Google it.
I think he got arrested.
Oh, okay.
I think he had a DUI and he got cut.
Yeah, he's currently a free agent.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
He was released last month.
Okay. Yeah.
He's also spending a year in jail. So
I told you, listen to me, boys. I got you.
They got David Amerson. That's all they got.
I love the Raiders' shortcomings. So every time that they fail, I laugh.
So yeah, if Edmonds or Roquan was on the board, they would be the pick. But with both of them off the board, and the need at corner, I think you're getting the best member of the secondary in this class with the best ball skills, as he played receiver before he transitioned to corner, and that is going to be Josh Jackson.
I like that pick.
Yeah, me too.
I wasn't sure if you were going to go with Josh Jackson there or whether you were going to go with maybe Isaiah Oliver.
Mm-hmm.
And Mike says in the chat, I don't have much for Oakland this year. Very skeptical about Gruden. Well, Mike, my last mock draft that I posted, I had them selecting Marcus Davenport, who I don't have anywhere near a first-round grade on because I have that little faith in the Raiders.
Yeah, I think
John Gruden was on ESPN.
What did he say? What was he saying?
Oh no, I just meant for like Monday Night Football.
Oh yeah, like he spent 10 years away from the game.
Yeah.
And I don't buy this whole he's been watching it so he knows it. No, he does. John Gruden was never a good drafter.
No, he wasn't, and I don't particularly think he was ever a great head coach. I mean,
no, he inherited Tony Dungy's team
exactly, and then he won
inherited
a Super Bowl
Tony Dungy's
and nothing
team.
else.
And then he beat the team that he just coached that was installing the exact same offense in the Super Bowl. No shit, he knew the tendencies. Because the coach for the fucking Raiders was his offensive coordinator, was he not?
Yes.
Like, get all the way out of my face with this shit.
Yeah, I don't know if I have a ton of faith in John. I think he's going to bring a different mentality to them.
Plus, I mean, how dare you cut the best punter in the NFL in Marquette
King? I was entirely enamored by the coaching decisions that the Raiders have undergone within the last couple of years in terms of, one, firing their offensive coordinator after they had a very good offensive season, and Derek Carr had a great season when they went, 10-6 or 11-5 or something like that?
Yeah.
Fire their offensive coordinator, bring in a new guy who completely changes the scheme. I think takes a serious downgrade, which leads to this 5-11 season. And then they fire their head coach, which had done amazing work to point, and he had drafted very well with Reggie McKenzie, and I think they were heading down the right path for sure. And now they just let all of it go. Now John Gruden's back in town.
I mean, Doug Martin was brought in. I mean, what the fuck? Leon Hall, Reggie Nelson is like 34 fucking years old. What are they doing?
All of his free agent decisions have been the guys who on Monday Night Football, you always hear him so, now here's a guy that I really love. Doug Martin, great guy. And then Jordy Nelson, best white guy in the NFL.
Here's a guy that's got a spider to why banana the fuck out of my offense.
Yeah. he's just picking up guys. It's so weird. If I had Oakland's pick, I would have taken running back from LSU, Darius Geis. I think John loves his hard-nosed running game, and with the offensive line that they have, you have to give them some sort of premium talent, and they'll rush for 1,200, 1,300, 1,400 yards. It could be insane.
Now, here's my rebuttal to that. My comparison for Darius Geis is Doug Martin. In that he's a smaller back, because he's only like 5'9", like 215, who runs the fuck over people. So
yeah, but I think Doug's
washed, but
yeah.
Anyways, enough time talking about that fucking team that's not even going to be in the city they're in right now next year. They're moving to Sin City, which it was fucking sinful to bring in John Gruden.
Nice,
on to the second worst team in the NFL, the Miami Dolphins. That pile of fucking shit organization. So that's Lawson. Seriously, if you're a Dolphins fan, we can't be friends. Fuck the Dolphins. Fuck them twice.
Oh damn.
Amen, man. Yes, I'm not particularly a Dolphins fan either, which is why I've seriously considered drafting a punter with this position here.
Was it Dixon from fucking Texas? The fucking
just forfeiting the pick, nothing on the ballot. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You look across the board on this team, and they lost obviously a couple pieces this year, and they're big kind of question marks, and then within everything that they've been doing at the quarterback position. And I'm looking at my board, and there's a guy who's still kicking around who I think you bring in, you let Tannehill play out his contract, or maybe even just 1 year, and you look for a potential suitor to trade him, and it'd be a fucking crime if we let this guy slip any further. I mean, I'm running up to the podium with Sam Darnold, quarterback USC.
Kind of knew that was coming. Even if this were the way it actually plays out, I hope that they, with the 11th pick, select DeAndre Goolsby out of Florida. Like, why DeAndre Goolsby out of Florida? I evaluated 268 players in this draft, and he was my 268th ranked player. Because seriously, fuck the Dolphins.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you see a ton of mock drafts, and they have them taking Vita Vea to replace Ndamukong Suh. Perfect fit, but I mean, let's be realistic here. Mike Tannehill's not taking you anywhere, nor is Matt Moore. And
did you just say Mike Tannehill?
Who is it?
Ryan Tannehill. Mike Tannenbaum. Ryan Tannehill.
Whatever the fuck his name is. He's not taking you to the promised land.
And low-key old.
Jay Cutler. Let's send Jay Cutler back to the analyst booth. Don't even send him there. Send him back home. Let him play with his kids and his wife. Chill out.
Look bored as shit.
Let's bring in a kid who can actually change the future of this franchise.
Yeah. So I'm with my first of 2 picks for the Buffalo Bills. Now, I don't think that they're still going to be here come Thursday. They're going to try to trade up, whether it be Denver, Cleveland, the Giants, whoever. And they're going to try to trade up, but looking at where we are now, there's still some really solid players available on the board. And if I'm not mistaken, they don't really have a quarterback, do they? Like, I'm just looking this up now.
They have they signed McCarron.
They did sign McCarron, but AJ McCarron is he's AJ McCarron.
Right.
But at this point, you see, it's tough because you know what? Fuck it. I was gonna go with Connor Williams out of Texas because that's my boy, but I just realized that the OC for Buffalo is Brian Dable, who was just working at Alabama, who was working with a much worse quarterback, working with a quarterback that really is a fucking running back. Now he's going to get a real quarterback. Fuck it, why not? Lamar Jackson. They need to get a quarterback. I mean, this is definitely a reach even by my standards. I have Lamar Jackson at 33 on my board. But, I mean, you can't have A.J. McCarron as your number 1 quarterback going into a year. You just can't. Especially when, I mean, Sean McDermott, although he's a defensive coach, is was in Carolina when they had Cam, obviously, and Dable just had Jalen Hurts, who is like 178th of what Lamar Jackson is. So I just you just have to make the pick. There's just no other way to put it.
Yeah, I don't think Lamar Jackson's a bad pick. I would have went Baker Mayfield in this situation.
Is he? Oh shit, he's still on the board, isn't he?
Yep.
Oh my god. Well, I think we know where the next quarterback, who the next quarterback is. I just realized that he's still on the board. I don't know. I just think that given what Dable just had, I think he's maybe a little bit more of a fit than Mayfield is. Maybe I'm wrong.
I mean, not to get too deep into that conversation, but I don't feel like Buffalo views Lamar Jackson too highly, especially with how they handled Tyrod Taylor and his departure.
Yeah, but Tyrod was a little bit more limited than Jackson is. And I really like Tyrod too, but I mean, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, quarterbacks, the very obvious need, and they need to take one. So Lamar Jackson's not an awful pick.
Yeah, I passed on my third ranked quarterback to take my 4th. Scheme fit, man. Scheme fit.
No, yeah, definitely an okay fit there. I think we're
last year our number 2 quarterback. My number 2 quarterback didn't even get drafted in round 1 according to us. So
Yeah, and he went number 2 overall.
Yeah,
Trubisky. Nice.
All right, so we're gonna go Lawson with that team from the nation's capital.
Washington.
Yeah. Well, I didn't want to say Washington because as a butthurt Raptors fan right now.
Yeah, bad game. Bad game.
You know, Jeremy and I were talking about that before. I mean, we blew that game, and then the refs just didn't help.
Yeah. No, yeah, it was a tough game for sure, but going back to Toronto is going to be good for us. And
oh yeah,
I think it's still possible to take it in 6, but I think we'll get it done even if it takes 7. But
I don't want to. Anyways, moving on.
So yeah, pick with Washington. I'll take a quick second and just probably review some of these picks just in case some people are.
Yeah, you know what? You want me to read it down?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
All right. So 1 was Josh Allen. 2 was Quentin Nelson. 3 was Josh Rosen. 4 was Saquon Barkley. 5, Denzel Ward. Indy at 6 went Bradley Chubb. Tampa Bay at 7 went Minkah Fitzpatrick. Chicago at 8 went Roquan Smith due to Nelson and Ward and all of them not being available. 9, Tremaine Edmonds to the Niners. 10, Oakland went Josh Jackson. 11, Sam Darnold. And 12, Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, not a bad board so far. Obviously, a lot of positions are kind of been exhausted already. And I knew I had Washington, and I've been looking at them, and obviously I see in mock drafts they kind of take a couple different players depending on how the top 10 shake out. It could be Derwin, or it could be Vita, or it could be some other couple players. And I don't know, man. I've honestly been struggling with this pick. I see a couple areas of need, and I don't know which is necessarily the best way to turn with this one. I look at some of the positions they got and where they could use the best fit and stuff, and I think within this position and in this situation there's a couple players on the board that I don't think will still be there, but you take best player available. I'll take Derwin James.
Yeah, this is a pick I've seen a lot and I like it. Derwin's just so good.
I've seen it before, and we talked about his athleticism back at pick number 7 with Tampa Bay, but I think he's a guy you put in there. He's an immediate upgrade to either safety position. I think that you want to put in there. I think there's some holes within that secondary, and I think that they could implement that kind of in the box strong safety kind of mentality and put that in their secondary to add a little bit of attitude, a little bit of force within their secondary. And I don't know. I look at their team as a whole, and I just see a bunch of and no real okay, this is a glaring need. So I think you kind of take the best player available.
It's funny. I've put Derwin to Washington in a lot of my mock drafts this year, and every time I do so, I get a comment about how. Well, saying that he's replacing Sua Cravens or whatever. And you know what? Now that he would officially be a Sua Cravens replacement because he's now in Denver. But the idea that, saying he's a Sua Cravens replacement, that there's nothing in the secondary that said Josh Norman's not true because Monte Nicholson played well. But at the end, Monte Nicholson was a 5th round pick or 4th round pick last year. There was a reason he was a 4th round pick.
Yeah.
And a lot of people weren't even sure if he was draftable going into that. So. At the end of the day, you got to bring in a playmaker when there's a playmaker available.
Exactly, man. That's the mentality.
Yeah. So, Jeremy, you were on the board now with the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah. I know my camera isn't on.
I'm sorry, I pulled you away from that Pacers game. Pacers are up 1.
I'm telling you, man, the Pacers are taking the series.
For a while. I'm not watching.
Damn.
They came storming back in the 3rd quarter, and it's just been back and forth the rest of the way.
I've got that game recording, so as soon as this is over, that's going to be what I watch.
But anyways, yeah, I said my camera isn't on, but if it was, y'all would have seen me praying because if Derwin James wasn't the pick, he was going to be my pick for the Green Bay Packers. But now that he is off the board, Kind of like the Redskins. I mean, you look at the Packers, and there aren't really a lot of glaring needs. And I mean, add Muhammad Wilkerson to help on the D line, added Jimmy Graham just to give Rodgers another weapon to play with. Brought Tramon Williams back. So this pick is also kind of a hard one, and I think D-line is still a little bit of an issue. I mean, you've got some great interior in Mike Daniels and Kenny Clark, but Muhammad Wilkerson's starting to get a little old, and he's been kind of a question mark the last couple of years. And I think you could draft a guy who could be a rotation player and can end up developing, if you can develop him, into a really good player. He's very raw, and there's some question marks about him. I'm going Marcus Davenport.
Oh, shit. All right. That was not at all where I thought you were going to go with that. You're talking about, like, defensive line and the pass rush and things like that. And I'm thinking, okay, Harold Landry. And then you mentioned specifically defensive line. I'm like, maybe Vita Vea, a little bit, raw. Well, Deron Payne didn't really play a lot. And hang on. Let me scroll down the big board. All right. So I already poked fun at Lawson when he drafted my 44th overall player at number 1 in Josh Allen. So I'm going to ask you the same question, Jeremy. Where do you think Marcus Davenport is on my big board?
55.
You are off by the positioning of Josh Rosen. He is my 98th ranked player.
Jesus, Mike. 98?
98.
What do you have against this guy?
He's this year's Solomon Thomas, but not as good of a player as Solomon Thomas. In a weaker conference than Solomon Thomas, with less production than Solomon Thomas.
I don't think this guy lives up to the hype, and I definitely think he's a high ceiling, low floor kind of player. That you have to put him in the right system and have him develop properly in order to get some production out of him. And 98, Mike? Damn, bro.
All right, so I put up my edge rankings, and I did have his position in there with the whole big board, because that's the one thing I wanted to do this year was actually to instead of just doing a top 5, I wanted to get as many people as I could, listed off. And there's probably going to be at least another video or two. I'm not going to be able to tackle all the positions again this year, unfortunately. But because he wasn't in my top 5, I didn't give him a player comp. But my player comp for him is Deion Jordan.
Well,
yikes.
I mean, Deion Jordan, I think, had a little bit more going for him coming out of the draft. But like, look at what Deion Jordan did in the pros, and I mean, they're kind of similarly sized at like 6'6", 6'7", 250, 260, small build, not a lot of production. I just hate to see the NFL make the same mistakes over and over and over again.
Yeah, who knows, man.
So, yeah. Now, Arizona is sitting here at 15, and we mentioned earlier that if we saw Baker Mayfield go that if we saw Saquon Barkley go to 4, the picks being run up, I just kind of gave it away a little bit because, I'm a dumb idiot and I'm distracted by my cat in the background. Arizona's running this pick up to the board. It is Baker Mayfield.
Baker. Yeah, it's a solid pick for sure. I mean, you get a guy like Baker that you can put in there, and you sit behind Sam Bradford for a year and see what we can do after that, right? I like their kind of offensive scheme. They have a lot of athleticism and versatility, and Baker just adds a little bit more at the quarterback position. He has a fucking fire within the kid that honestly makes him my favorite quarterback of the draft, not necessarily my number 1 quarterback of the draft, but the one that I root for the most when I see him throughout the draft process and things like that, and just hearing how he reacts to some of the criticism and how he plays on the field. I mean, the kid's a fucking winner. and I like the fire that he instills within his teammates, and it's infectious.
Yeah, I got entirely fucking distracted. The kitten was playing with a pen, which is why I said Baker Mayfield earlier in the draft when I meant to say Saquon Barkley.
Nice.
Yeah, but yeah, Baker Mayfield. One of the few risers in this draft. I mean, really weren't a lot of guys that really elevated their stock from like last year. And, I think a lot of people thought he would be kind of a day 3 pick coming into this season. And he showed a fuckload of people wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. 16 overall. In Ozzie Newsome's last draft as the general manager of the Baltimore Ravens, Jeremy is going to take this pick, and I just want to preface this. We've only had one Alabama player taken, and Ozzie Newsome's going to Ozzie Newsome. But is Jeremy going to Ozzie Newsome?
Good point. Good point.
Is there going to be yet another member to the Baltimore Crimson Tide, even though they wear purple?
Well, it's kind of funny because I think one of their biggest needs is also one of the positions that they just the position they added John Brown from the Cardinals, Michael Crabtree, and signed Willie Snead.
Can't stay healthy.
Yeah, signed Willie Snead, but it's still to be determined if the Saints will match his offer sheet.
Yeah.
Can't stay off the weed.
The weed.
As Stephen A. Smith would say.
And so yeah, I mean they signed a bunch of receivers, but they don't really have any clear-cut number 1 type receivers. It's just a bunch of depth receivers and solid number 2s. And so I think receiver is the move here. You're in a position at this point in the draft where you're going to be able to take the receiver you want. And going in the Ozzie Newsome trend, I'm going to be taking Ridley, the receiver out of Bama.
This is gonna be like the fucking Lonzo Ball going to the Lakers. We just spoke it into existence. Ridley is my 15th ranked player. He's my top receiver in the class. Yeah, it's Ozzie Newsome. I said here last year that they would take Marlon Humphrey, and they took Marlon Humphrey because it was a position they needed. And despite there being much better players at that position, he went to Alabama. This year, there isn't anyone better at that position, and he goes to Alabama. So, since we just did, Lawson, do you have anything to say before I didn't mean to cut you off there, but yeah, you got anything?
No, I mean, we've talked about my preference and my opinions on the wide receivers in this class. I honestly don't see many of them being a first-round talent. As I scan back over the board and I look at Washington, I took Derwin James, and honestly, I probably would have taken a receiver at that position had I had a little bit more time to think about it and consider those within there. I've just had a bad taste in my mouth about this receiver class, but Washington has no receivers, so
yeah. I mean, so we just did the recap. I think when we got to 13. When we got to 12. Yeah, it's right before the 13th pick. So we don't need to do another recap of who's been taken. So I was thinking we'd maybe talk about some of the best players on my board that are still out there. Connor Williams, the offensive tackle out of Texas, is my number 7 player. He's still available. Harold Landry from Boston College is my number 12 player. He hasn't been taken yet. Forgot to mention earlier, Baker Mayfield's my 13th ranked player. So what a massive steal for Arizona to get him there. Not in that, but the fact he's probably gone by the time the 5th pick rolls around. Vita Vea is still available. He's at 16. Darius Geis at 17. We've had some reaches, we've had some big time reaches, in my opinion. But the NFL always has some big time reaches. Remember when when the Niners traded back in and got Joshua Garnett, or when the Niners picked AJ Jenkins and no one actually knew who he was.
Yeah, when the Raiders drafted Darius Hayward-Bay.
Yeah.
I think pick number 9, and he was like a third-round talent.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I think the AJ Jenkins year, I had not heard his name mentioned once. Now, I wasn't following as big as I was back then, but I had never heard of him, and he was drafted in round 1. Usually, guys I've never heard of wait till like round 5 to start being picked.
Well, even, and maybe not for you, but for me, when Miami picked Juwan James,
that was my first year putting together like an actual big board. I don't even think he was on. So it was only like a top 40, but he wasn't on it.
For me, that was a weird pick. I didn't really, 1, expect him to go tackle, but 2, certainly not Juwan James. I thought that was weird.
Yeah,
he's a decent player now, but
yeah. Anyways, so next up we've got Lawson with the Los Angeles Chargers, and the
fucking
reason
Los Angeles Superchargers, baby.
What I was gonna say,
vintage.
I knew that was the Chargers. Yes, the San Diego Chargers. The reason I said that nice and slow is because I have it down as LAC, which automatically makes me think Clippers.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I'm still within that phase and slowly weaning out of it. I would also like to start this pick by talking super serious for a second and tell y'all.
Yo, he's getting really close to the camera. I'm not sure if he's about to
2019 Super Bowl champions, 2018-19 Super Bowl champions are picking this year at number 17.
What
next year at number 32?
Here's the challenge for you, Lawson. What Super Bowl will that be? Because I don't fucking know anymore. 54? I don't know. I don't fucking know.
This year, that's all I got to say.
Yeah.
This year, we coming for that title, baby. We're underrated. Nobody's giving us our respects. We're coming out this season.
Put some respect on that name.
12-4, win the AFC West, take that all the way to the Super Bowl and win everything. Phillip Rivers is taking us there this year. All right, I look at this, and honestly, I've been talking to people around me about draft for a long time, obviously being such a fanatic of the whole phase. And they ask me, they say, oh, what do you think your boys are going to do at 17? And every time I look at them and I say, I have no fucking clue. Not a fucking clue. We're in a position that we sit middle of the draft, right, which is usually best player available territory. But I don't see us with any needs that are like, okay, man, you have to go here. Right? You could talk about middle linebacker, a run fill and defensive tackle, maybe a tackle, safety, something like that. But are those all red buzzer needs? No, I don't think that they are. And I think come draft day, you could see us go at 5 positions. I could see us trading up a little bit to get the guy that we're in love with. I could see us trading down because we don't really have any guy that we're in love with. And we know we could get them at the bottom of the first, right? Pick up a little extra draft capital and start building that way. So come draft day, I have no fucking chance of predicting what we're going to do. I've seen mock drafts with 8 different players.
Oh,
8.
God. At least.
Vita, Derwin James, Deron Payne, Lamar Jackson, Mike McGlinchey, Connor Williams.
Colton Miller.
I've
given him Colton Miller before, too.
The list extends and extends and extends. And I've seen Minka drop to 17 somehow, and we got him.
That would the NFL would officially be on crack if that happened.
Josh Jackson, I've seen drafted at 17. And to keep this from going a little bit more long-winded, I look at our board, and I can go 2 ways. The 2 linebackers I like in the first round aren't there anymore. I think Van Der Esch is another guy I've seen who I think isn't far off those other two supreme guys who I like in our defense. I like him fitting in there at our middle linebacker position with Gus Bradley. I see Vita Vea sitting on the board, and I think he adds a lot to our run defense, and certainly, Lord knows, we need help on that front. But I think we could get a plug in, day 2, maybe even day 3. It's a deep defensive tackle class, and we could get a plug anywhere within there. But I'm looking at one guy who's pretty high up on my board, and I think we put him in there for an immediate plug right now, an immediate fix, but a long-term kind of successor on the left side of our offensive line. I'm taking my boy out of Texas, man. Let's plug him in there at right tackle. let's make him work day one and eventually kick him over to the left side when Okun's tire falls off.
Now, I know you know this already, Lawson.
Yeah.
You're on a stream with 2 Texas fans.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
When's the last time Texas had a day 1 or 2 pick?
Earl Thomas?
Right? I mean, we've fallen off for so long, and I think this year, one of my dream plans is, we take Connor Williams round 1, top of the second round, we take your boy Jefferson.
You know who's got control of some of those later round picks.
Mm-hmm.
And just like last year, how even despite a torn Achilles, Sidney Jones did not get out of round 1 with me. I picked him at 32 because, I mean, Sidney Jones is my boy and still is my boy and has become my boy even more so than he was this time last year because he's an Eagle. You don't think I might make sure that Malik Jefferson goes round 1 tonight?
He could, but
he's not going to go round 1 in the actual draft. But
no, I'm thinking draft day. We pass linebacker now and we double back and we pick one up in the top of the second. And Malik Jefferson's a guy that I would most definitely welcome with arms.
Now,
Go Horns.
Here's the thing: is that all right? So, like I said, so I love this pick. Connor Williams is my 7th, rated player in the class. Connor Williams spent a good portion of the year in my top 2. Fuck what people think about, well, he had a bad game against Maryland. One bad game in 2.5 years does not fucking matter. He missed half the season with a torn, meniscus, comes back and fucking decimated West Virginia. I don't care that West Virginia was not up to snuff. It's not like you shut down Okoronkwo. I don't give a fuck. You shut down who's in front of you. He was manhandling motherfuckers, on the Mountaineers. Nice little alliteration for you there. Manhandling motherfuckers. And I mean, he asserted his dominance. I don't care that he's got fucking potentially short arm length to me. Unless the dude's got little fucking T-Rex arms, I don't fucking care. Connor Williams is my boy. I will not accept any Connor Williams slander. That is just Connor Williams slander is a good way to get blocked. But for whatever reason, when you started talking about your boy on your board that was slipping a bit, you had mentioned him earlier, but I completely forgot that you guys have a player that already fills that need. So I was thinking you were going to go Darius Geis, and then I remembered that Melvin Gordon exists.
and honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we do. We get a nice compliment to Melvin Gordon, who can spell him a little bit, and we don't have to rely on Melvin to do all the dirty work. You give him a Darius Geis, who has a kind of similar skill set to Melvin, but has a little bit more maybe of a hard-nosed attitude, and you keep Melvin fresh, and you let Darius do the dirty work.
Yeah, for sure.
I wouldn't be surprised. Honestly, wouldn't be surprised.
All right. I think I came on last year's mock draft, and we talked about how the fucking Seahawks need to protect Russell Wilson, and that they should have spent 7 picks on offensive tackles. And last year, as I pull up my thing from last year, they got Eason Posich, who they played at center and guard most of the year. They got Justin Senior, who didn't make the team. Like, there really just wasn't much. They only spent 2 picks on the offensive line. They really still have not done anything to protect him. Connor Williams was going to be my pick there. And by the way, Sherman being gone kind of throws a monkey wrench now because corner becomes a big need. I've seen Isaiah Oliver here before. I've mocked Isaiah Oliver here before because he meets that height threshold. The dumbest pick I've heard for Seattle was Darius Geis. Not because Darius Geis isn't a good player, but when was the last time Seattle drafted a running back under John Schneider in round 1. They haven't. They've relied on Thomas Rawls, who was an undrafted free agent, Chris Carson, who was a 7th-round pick, CJ Prosise, who was a day 3 pick. So what the fuck made that particular analyst? And it's someone I respect, but I made sure to point out that, hey, that really was not a great pick. I didn't bury him for it. It wasn't a great pick. Not a lot of thought put into that. Here is a pick that there is a lot of thought put into. Protect your quarterback. Don't let him get murdered. Mike McGlinchey.
Yeah, good pick. And I think you mentioned why Darius Geis right now, right? Like they've never drafted a 1st-round pick. My opinion in terms of drafting running backs, especially in the 1st round, if you don't have someone to block for them, it's probably a shit idea. Right? It's just so straightforward.
You've just got perfect comedic timing.
Man, it's such a dependent position upon the guys in front of you. Like, I don't care if you are,
Trent Richardson.
Whoa, what? You made me choke, Mike, with Trent Richardson.
I mean, he was a good running back. And
he was okay.
He was a good running back in college. He had such a great offensive line, and then he went to Cleveland, and there was no offensive line. Right. And then he went to Indianapolis, and there was an even worse offensive line, and he was fat.
Exactly. Like, you just have no help on the offensive line for your franchise player and fucking Russell Wilson, nor do you have any help for a guy like Darius Geis, who is a hard-nosed runner, but you need a little bit of a push to get this guy going, and you don't have that. So
you know what? Seattle needs to spend 5 picks on the offensive line this year and then draft 2 cornerbacks. That's all they need.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
Maybe a safety in there as well.
Yeah, but offensive line.
Yeah, offensive line. Fuck it. You've got to get it right. If George Fant is still in the NFL, there's a problem.
Yeah, good pick.
All right, Jeremy, your Dallas Cowboys, who are hosting the draft this year.
Yeah, so I think the Cowboys can go a couple different ways here. I mean, they've seemed to have created a couple of different needs over the course of free agency. You lost Anthony Hitchens, so now there's a linebacker for. You lost. Obviously cut Des Bryant, so now there's a pretty big need at a number 1 receiver. Offensive line, even though it's always raved about, has now become sort of there's a hole at left guard now that they transitioned La'el Collins to right tackle last season to help with the Doug Free retirement, and then could never really find a mainstay at left guard with Chaz Green and
who?
His name is skipping me.
Chaz Green doesn't sound like a real person.
He was the guy that gave up 6 sacks to Adrian Claiborne.
Oh,
yeah.
That's hard to do considering Adrian Claiborne, I think, had about 8 career sacks before that.
Yeah.
In like 8 years.
Jonathan Cooper. That's his name. Okay, so yeah.
God, there's a name I haven't heard in a while.
Yeah, so you're mixing between Chaz Green and Jonathan Cooper as starting left guard.
So name and bust. Okay, good.
Yeah. And then, Chaz Green's pretty much fallen off earth. He's a bust at this point. You're not going to get anything from him. Jonathan Cooper actually left in free agency, so
someone wanted him.
There's also a big need at left guard, so you can kind of go 2 ways here. I mean, you can go receiver. Calvin Ridley's the only receiver off the board, so you're still getting a pretty good receiver if you want to go there. But I'm actually going to go with the second option, which is left guard, and I think at this point you've got 2 pretty good options, and I think I might be taking a hit and taking the worst of the 2, but I'm a sucker for a big mauler, so I'm gonna go Will Hernandez, the guard out of Utah.
Shit. I started typing in Isaiah Wynn, and then you said the big mauler.
Fuck yeah!
I think if you stick him in between Frederick and Tyron Smith, who in my opinion, are the best at their respective positions, and I mean, he doesn't have to be perfect his rookie year. He can he can learn a lot while being surrounded by great talent. And I mean, just having a giant mauler like that clear out space for Zeke and just trying to help out Dak and maybe give this one more go before you start trying to. And then I think you can fill like needs a linebacker and defensive tackle in later rounds just because how deep it is and receiver. So.
And you know what? He's a local kid too, man. He's a local kid. UTEP.
Yeah.
Now you said you might be taking the worst out of it, and I mean, I to me, him and Wynn are just so close, and I think one of the reasons why is that Wynn is making the transition from offensive tackle to offensive guard, a la a Zach Martin.
Right.
I can never remember if I got the right Martin brother between him and his brother Nick. But it's Zach, that's the one that plays for you guys, right?
Yeah, Zach's the one. Yeah. Nick's in Houston.
In Houston. Isaiah Wynn is my 30th ranked player. Will Hernandez is my 31st ranked player. So,
awesome.
It's basically a tie. They have the same grade. So, like Will Hernandez is like, if you think about it, Isaiah Wynn is more of your like kind of current guard, your Zach Martin, that former offensive tackle with the elite agility, and the amazing movement skills. Will Hernandez is your throwback guy to like your Larry Allens and like the Eagles used to have like big ass fucking guards back in the day with Sean Andrews and like these big fucking maulers at guard. So totally different playing styles.
And also, I forgot to mention, just to boast your horn a little bit, Mike, with the, I mean, I think you have to go left guard, especially in the first round, especially with the, with already scary how scary the Eagles' defensive line was, and then they added more depth to it with Michael Bennett and Haloti Ngata. So,
I mean, it's not really that much at this stage.
I mean, I still think he can produce a rotation guy.
Yeah, the guy's a good player.
Yeah, I actually hadn't even taken that into account, but yeah, absolutely. Like the Eagles defensive line depth is fucking terrifying right now. Yeah, when you factor in that they've got Bennett, Barnett, Jernigan, Nada, Fletcher Cox, Elijah Qualls, who's low-key really fucking good, Destiny Valle, who's, again, low-key really fucking good, Brandon Graham, and Chris Long. I mean, there are at least 6 guys that I just mentioned there that would be a starter that, on any team. And probably closer to 8 guys that would be a starter on any team. Probably like Vallejo and Qualls are the only ones that wouldn't be starters.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I like that pick. I like that pick a lot. Detroit Lions under Mountain Man Matt Patricia. I'm glad that he got a coaching job and Josh McDaniels didn't. I don't like Josh McDaniels because he backed out of the fucking deal like a bitch. That he had with was it Indy?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't like when people do that type of shit. It bugs me. It bugs me. And you know what? I'm not even surprised it comes from the Patriots. Like because Belichick did that. And granted, kudos to Belichick because he at least got out of working for the Jets because fuck the Jets. Anyways, I'm going on a long-ass fucking tangent. Detroit, they got a lot of needs for a team that really, came close to making the playoffs, but they still do have quite a few needs. Kenny Golladay was good to start the season, then completely vanished. Marvin Jones has not really done much. Golden Tate is more of a slot receiver, but I just don't see the value in taking a wide receiver here. The defense is okay. Ziggy Ansah's been pretty good, like really fucking good, considering he was definitely a boom or bust pick back in the day, and has really, really come on strong. I think he had 5 career sacks at BYU, and Well, he gets that in like a span of about half a season. So, looking at their roster right now, Taylor Decker's been great. Ricky Wagner has been great since coming over. They cut Eric Ebron, who was bad. They replaced him with Luke Wilson, who's not that much better. Patricia came from New England, who likes to utilize the tight end. I don't really see Luke Wilson as a number one tight end. I get Patricia's a defensive coach, but I still think tendencies are kind of the same. Detroit is a front office run by former Patriots execs. I'm going to go Dallas Goedert from South Dakota State.
Nice. I was wondering when we'd have our first tight end.
Yeah, and I like this tight end class. This is low-key a really good tight end class again.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think, you talk about scheme and kind of skill sets that people bring to the table. I had Hayden Hurst, number one. I think he just offers a little bit of a different feel from Dallas. I think he adds a little bit more of that versatility. But certainly, Dallas, a guy who's coming from, D2, yeah?
D1 AA.
D1 AA, my apologies. Yeah, but, still a small school, kind of lesser competition, stuff like that. But, I mean, fuck, man, the kid flashes, and I think within the top three, I have obviously Hayden, Dallas, and Gesicki. I think Gesicki is a guy who he's going to –
Is it Hayden Hurst number one?
Yeah.
See, he's 25, though, so that's a knock on him.
Yeah, but, if you can play, you can play. I understand you might not have the same longevity out of a career, but, maybe we only get 4 years either way.
Yeah, I just saw this now. Jeremy, Mike thought that your pick for Dallas was really good. He thought you were going to go wide receiver.
Oh.
Yeah, Hernandez is a solid pick. Real solid pick.
So, I've
been pretty torn on the two, but I think you have a lot more depth in this receiver class than you do at guard. And like it was stated earlier, the receiver class isn't really top heavy. I think there's a bunch of guys who are sort of interchangeable. So if they wanted to go receiver second round, I don't think you're taking that much of a hit.
Yeah, for sure. Man, I'm kind of looking at some of the picks we've had. I mean, we had Marcus Davenport. He will go that high probably in real life, but we still haven't had Harold Landry get taken. We've seen Hernandez, go. Dallas Goedert go. I mean, there's still some really good players, left on the board. This almost kind of looks like what a real NFL draft would be, because every year we always see the mock drafts and we all think that we know what's going to happen, and then absolute fucking chaos erupts and Laramie Tunsil's fucking inhaling pot through a gas mask, or I was Bleacher Report for 420 did a special where they sat down with some former athletes, and I swear to God, I don't know if it was Ryan Clady or if it was another guy who said the highest he's ever gotten is when they smoked it out of an apple. I just want to see a video of one of these guys getting high, smoking a pot through a fucking apple or an orange. Give me some form of fruit that they're smoking pot through on draft night, and just watch the fucking chaos.
Yeah.
But we always think that we kind of this cookie cutter mold that the draft's going to follow, and then it's usually a couple things that we can expect, and then there's 3 or 4 picks that you can basically hedge in, carve in stone, and then the other 29 you're just well, fuck, we didn't see that coming. This is kind of what our mock has become.
There's
a very long-winded way of getting to that point, but still.
Man, fuck, man, good point for sure. Good points for sure.
Yeah.
Lawson, you're on the board now with the Cincinnati Bengals.
Cincinnati Bengals, a team that every year I'm always just
they ever going to be good?
Bengals. Yeah, they've never ever been a team to me that stands out as oh, they're contenders or dark horses, but they've never also been a team that's yeah, they're just trash. Whatever. They're just always within that middle ground, the purgatory between
Atlanta Hawks syndrome.
Yeah, and I've told people before that the AFC North is probably one of the most predictable divisions in football.
Pittsburgh,
Right?
Baltimore, Cincinnati, and Cleveland.
Right. We're going to get Pittsburgh with probably double-digit wins. Right? No surprise. We're going to get Baltimore right around the 6th or 7th seed every single year, just on the fringe of making the playoffs at like 8-8, 9-7, but nothing ever above that. Then we're going to get Cincinnati probably around 7-9, 6-10. If they
8-8.
if by miracle they do end up getting into the playoffs, we know they ain't going deep. They ain't going anywhere.
They haven't won a playoff game since '89.
Right? And then you got the Browns, who we know are the Browns, unfortunately, but we know that's going to change starting now.
Because Josh Allen?
Yeah, and Saquon.
Oh, yeah, Saquon. Well, Saquon can throw a pass to himself, and then we're fine.
Yeah.
Or to Jarvis Landry.
Mm-hmm.
Jarvis Landry doesn't run more than a yard and a half past the line of scrimmage anyways.
Right, good point. So yeah, I look at who's kind of left on my board and the position in which they're in, and I don't know if they bring immediate help. Obviously, we got Harold Landry still on the board. We got Rashawn Evans, Leighton Vander Esch, some good interior linemen, Billy Price, James Daniels, people like that, Isaiah Wynn. Vita Vea, Deron Payne, all still on the board, right? I mean, there's definitely some value here to be obtained by Cincinnati. I think they're going to pick that we won't see on draft day, but it's simply due to them having to have some sort of complement to Andy Dalton. And I think, you invest in wide receiver last year, it goes terribly, but you do. You don't go back-to-back years, especially not this year. I'm taking Darius Geis.
Yeah. You know what? They bombed that pick last year on draft day by going with John Ross. He had, I think, did he even have a catch last year?
He had one rush and a fumble.
So he didn't even have a catch.
No.
Oh my God. Yeah, he's really gotta do something this fucking year, or else he might be one of the. He might be a Darius Hayward Bay type of player. Good. He played in 3 games, no catches. He had 12 yards to his name.
Yep, and the reason I take Geis here is I think again within that division you have to have some sort of you have to have some sort of attitude and some sort of willingness to get the job done on the ground because, we talked about at the top of the draft, you're not always going to be able to throw well, right? You're going to have rain, you're going to have snow, you're going to have cold, you're going to have wind. And we got to make sure that, Andy Dalton has a little bit of help around him because, he it's like he's throwing fucking wet sponges out there. It's ridiculous, this guy. So, you get Darius Geis, they have a little bit of meat up front on the offensive line, but he adds an attitude there that they haven't had in a long time.
Now, you mentioned that, and I'm actually just pulling up the Bengals depth chart now. So there are some names on here I've never heard of. The Jarvion Williams from UTSA. Trey Carson from Texas A&M sounds familiar.
Mm-hmm.
Brian Hill, who they got off Atlanta's practice roster,
mm-hmm.
the kid from Wyoming that I really liked last year. Joe Mixon, who they got in round 2 last year. And your boy from the 2013 draft, Lawson, Giovanni Bernard.
Mm-hmm.
So where does he fit into this? Because, I mean, that's part of the reason they let Jeremy Hill go, aside from Jeremy Hill being just bad at football. Where does he fit into this?
I think he's the number one guy. You plug him in there. I didn't see much from Joe Mixon or enough from Joe Mixon to tell me that he could take 70% and give Gio the 30, or take 60% and give Gio the 40. Right? I think you put Geis in there to take 50% of his workload, and you use Geis or Bernard and Mixon, within certain situations, right? Because obviously they excel in certain things that Darius doesn't, right? Within the pass game, within certain packages, things like that. And we've seen so many different packages. You look at the Patriots. They have 4 running backs on the roster, 3 running backs on the roster, right? You put all of them on one package on the field. You flex some of them out. You get them one-on-one with a linebacker. I mean, you're telling me that a linebacker could man coverage Gio?
Or is Gio gone?
I think Gio stays. I don't think you let Gio walk just because, again, that versatility that he brings you, knowing that your receiving core is, no real more than AJ Green, right? You put other guys within there who can be effective as hell in the slot, and you have more of these guys on the field, right? You put Gio and Darius on the field at one time. Those are your two best offensive weapons. Why not?
Yeah. I like the pick. Where is Geis on my board? He's my 17th ranked player. That's a bargain and a half. So I'm on the board now with the Buffalo Bills, who earlier in the draft selected Lamar Jackson. And I'm just kind of looking over what's there on the board, and there's quite a bit of like players that fell farther than I expected them to, especially given who's coming in and who I know Lawson and myself really like. Jeremy, I don't really know as much, but there's a player out there that just makes way too much sense. And holy crap, I just looking at their depth chart, I didn't even know Star Lotulelei even went to Buffalo. I thought he was still in Carolina. Regardless, Kyle Williams, bless his heart, he's kind of getting up there in age. He was drafted in 06, and Adolphus Washington is not that great. Star Lotulelei, there's a reason why Carolina didn't bring him back. I think that you could go similar to Star Lotulelei and just bring in a big, badass Samoan man, Vita Vea.
Yeah, good pick. I don't see him lasting this long on draft
No,
day,
absolutely not.
He's there. You run up there. Also on the start note, I think they signed him to a 5-year contract, a 5 or 6 year contract, which was surprising to me. Star
Really?
No. It was like the first day of free agency.
Really?
Yeah, they signed him right away.
Let me see this. Yeah, 5-year deal.
Wow.
Damn. That's shocking.
Yeah, I didn't think he had 2 or 3 years left in him.
Fuck, he's already 28 too.
Yep. His brother's in this draft as well.
Oh yeah, Lowell Lotulelei. That's
Lowell
really
from Utah.
Yeah, he's not as good as Star. Like, not even close. I don't even have a draftable grade on him. Vita Vea kind of reminds me of the Haloti Ngata, Dante Poe athletic freak show. Used to play running back, and not like used to play running back as in he was like 250 in high school playing running back. No. He was still like 330 playing, you're like 300 pounds playing high school running back. He's not Dante Poe's size. He's like, I think he's only like 320, which is weird because you look at him and he doesn't look like he's 320. He looks like he's closer to Dante Poe's size, but
I'm pretty sure he's like 340.
I read he was like 313. I mean,
I don't think
340. You are right. So he's still a big motherfucker.
He runs 5'1". Like, let's be realistic. 345. He runs a 5'1".
Yeah, Lawson, you and I were there when you and I were watching the combine together in class when fucking Dante Poe ran his 4.9 whatever. Yeah. I had similar vibes and watching the tape. I mean, this dude's covering kicks at 340 pounds.
Yep.
Just get this guy in the NFL right now.
Yeah, good
Jeremy?
Pick.
Yep.
Anything else to add to that, or are we good?
Not really. I mean, like y'all said, I'm extremely down unless something crazy happens that Vita Vea is still on the board at this point. But yeah, it's really good value.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? And I debated someone that I'm pretty sure you're considering with this next pick going, but I won't say who. So you are on the clock with your friends, New England Patriots. So I'll let you take the floor.
I think they have 4 picks in the first 2 rounds, which I mean is just
because they've got theirs. They've got the Rams first round pick. They got the Jimmy G pick in the second round. Then they've got their own second.
yeah, which I mean is just absolutely insane because
It's just didn't they not have a pick till like round 4 last year?
Yeah.
yeah, they only
They
had 4
flopped
picks
it.
last year total too. So yeah, to walk away with so much capital. But looking at the Patriots roster, I mean, there's a couple of different places you can go here. Offensive tackle is a big need. Seeming that they lost both their left and starting right tackle in free agency. I think pass rusher is a big need. They haven't had a dominant like number 1 guy in a long time. Linebackers a need. I was watching the Super Bowl and some of the playoff games. I was seeing a lot of names that I've either never heard of before or haven't seen in a long time, like the Kyle Vanoys of the world.
Oh God, I forgot he was a thing.
So there's a couple of different places you can go. This guy's name has been mentioned a couple of times already. I think he's gonna be gone when the real draft happens at this point. I'm gonna have the Patriots taking the local kid. I'm gonna go Harold Landry.
Yeah.
No, fuck. Yeah, good pick.
That was the player I was considering taking at 22 with Buffalo. I mean, I've said for a long time I don't think Harold Landry gets past Green Bay at 14. And if Arizona had a quarterback, I would have taken him at 15. Seattle, I mean, offensive tackle is just such a bigger need for them. Detroit, I almost considered taking him as well. Like, he's just really fucking good, and he's athletic. His production dipped this year, but that's what happens when you lead the nation in sacks in your junior year and go back for your senior year. You're going to draw more attention. He's my number 2 player at the position. He's my 12th overall player. I don't think he's still going to be there at this point, but that's a great pick.
Yeah, definitely a great pick, and one I was hoping you wouldn't make, is that was going to be my pick for Carolina here. I think considering who they have on defense already, and then you lose kind of a couple pieces, not huge players, but you lose a couple pieces, but you have a guy like Harold that falls right in your lap.
Mike loves the New England pick as well, so
yeah, I mean you gotta put the guy.
There you go,
in
Mike.
So that puts me on the clock with Carolina now, and this one I want to keep historical context in mind and consider who they drafted last year. We take Christian McCaffrey in the first round, who had a pretty solid rookie season. We take Curtis Samuel in the second round, who doesn't do as well, but both high-powered offensive weapons that we compare with Cam out of the slot, receiver, backfield, whatever it may be. I think transitioning that into years coming, I think we look at how do we help these guys get better, right? How do we make this offense tick, right? And I think we go right back to offense here. And I'm taking Isaiah Wynn. I'm taking a big dog who can move in the trenches, and I'm taking a guy who can help get this offense rolling and give him a spark.
I like it. And you know what? Throughout the night, just to kind of refresh myself, because I mean, we mentioned it last year that free agency happens so much. It's seemingly so much, before the draft, that a lot of the moves kind of get lost on us. I was just kind of looking over the roster, and it's funny that you mentioned guard, because Lawson, their guards right now are Jeremiah Sirlis. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that correctly at left guard. Trey Turner at right guard, who's really good. Dorian Johnson, the kid from Pittsburgh, who I really liked. Was it last year? Yeah, Arizona cut him last year. Surprisingly, I thought he was a really good player. But on the left side, they've also got Greg Van Roten, who most recently was playing for the Toronto Argonauts and is actually a good CFL offensive lineman. And Zach Banner, who is on his 4th team already.
Yeah.
He was drafted last year. He is on his 4th team already.
So what happens when you're 410 pounds?
Good God, he was awful.
Yeah.
He was an awful prospect, and I was shocked he was drafted. But yeah,
Would also like to
Isaiah
point
Wynn,
out,
we've talked about him when Hernandez got drafted. Great player. Kind of, again, fits the need. If you slide from left tackle to left guard, you've already got Trey Turner, who is a very good right guard. Really, I can't find anything wrong with this pick.
yeah, I think it adds a lot of value. Yeah.
Yeah, I really like it, especially since they lost Andrew Norwell in free agency.
Yeah, Norwell's gone, and there was another guard they used to have whose name escapes me. I don't remember. Silatolu, I think was the name. Minu Silatolu. Some Polynesian last name that I'm not going to be able to pronounce.
Yeah. Even if I had it in front of me.
Yeah. So Tennessee's on the board at 25. Mike Vrabel, the new head coach of the Tennessee Titans. Good for him. I've always really liked Vrabel as a player and as a assistant coach. I'm really thinking he's going to do a great job as a head coach. And the Titans, you know what? I said at last year's mock draft that we did that when they were drafting and they had the 5th pick and the 18th pick, that they were in a very good spot because they didn't have a lot of needs, and then they, had just missed the playoffs, and they got my boy Corey Davis at 5, and then they drafted not my boy Adoree Jackson at 18. But I mean, just taking a look at the roster now, I kind of was hoping that Harold Landry was still going to be available. So I feel like, again, very much so a need because Brian Arakpo, I feel like he's been in the NFL now for about 700 years. Derek Morgan's getting up there in age. But there is a big glaring hole. And as much as I want to replace Derrick Henry because I feel like he's probably one of the more overrated players in the NFL in terms of I think a lot of people try to correlate fantasy football into reality football with him at times, and it just doesn't work. I think that they can wait on it, and instead I am going to take a player that fits a whole, a need that they desperately have. I'm gonna go Leighton Vander Esch.
Good one. Yeah, nice pick.
Yeah.
And you know what? Last year, for them, I picked Hassan Reddick in this, and they didn't address middle linebacker until round 6 with Jayon Brown. Just do it over again. Just get Leighton Vander Esch this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, solid pick. Great presence in the middle of the defense. I think the biggest value for him, kind of like Tremaine we talked about, the guy's 6'5", man. Think about what that does for passing lanes and a guy who drops underneath in zone. You got to throw it so much higher in order to get it to your receiver over top of this guy that, we're really limiting what kind of passing ranges and windows we have with on the field. I think, having that kind of size at that position is incredible.
Mm-hmm. I just think he's a really fucking good player. Another one of those late risers, one of those late risers in this class, which again there really weren't a lot of them, but just man, I don't know. He's kind of everything that you would want in a linebacker. He's got swag. He's got white boy swag, which is the best type of swag at times when you've just got this nerdy looking white guy who's the most swagged out dude on the fucking field. There's the gif of him literally just screaming, "Let's fucking go!" And I think if he's still available here on Thursday, then Mike Vrabel tells their little lackey that makes the phone call or runs the card up, whatever, to just fucking go and get Leighton Vander Esch in Tennessee.
Yeah, big time.
All right, Jeremy, your hometown Atlanta Falcons not coming off of a 28-3 lead this year. Had to get that in there for the second straight year.
Nope. They blew it against. They lost to the Eagles, right?
I don't even remember. I don't
I think
remember.
it was.
Yeah, they did. They were close to beating them, though.
Yeah,
it was the Eagles.
Julio, they had
The
a
last
pass
play
to
of the
Julio
game.
in the back of the end zone, and he dropped it.
Yeah. That game, I think I was working that game, so I don't know.
Oh, I got you.
I legit worked every Sunday from kickoff to Super Bowl Sunday. I booked Super Bowl Sunday off so that I wouldn't have to work.
But yeah, like I said earlier in the draft, I don't remember what the pick was, but camera's not on, but I was sitting in the back of the room praying that Isaiah Wynn wasn't going to go off the board because I think he will fit really well here.
Yeah, keep him in
the
the
Falcons' offense for the last couple of years has been known as one of the most explosive, one of the best, but offensive line play has always been kind of the weak point, especially the guard position. But with Wynn and Hernandez off the board, I don't think there's any person you could reach for at this point. So the other need that I've noticed on this roster is at the defensive tackle spot, especially after Dontari Poe leaving in the offseason. And another guy who I think come draft night is going to be off the board at this point, but he's still here, so I'm going to make the pick, is Daron Payne.
Yeah, I like Daron Payne a lot. One name that I've seen them linked to a lot that I just cannot get on board is Taven Bryan.
Yeah, I was actually looking at some now, and I've seen like 3 or 4 out of that.
I don't know where this obsession with Taven Bryan has come from because honestly, he's not even in my top 50. I don't think he's that kind of player, that kind of production, and I'm beside myself thinking of what people see in him.
If Taven Bryan goes, I mean, Taven Bryan has been compared to J.J. Watt by draft Twitter so many times.
I heard that too.
It makes my head spin, and I just need to lie down and take a nap whenever I see it, because he plays nothing like J.J. Watt. He's not as strong as J.J. Watt. He's not as good technically as J.J. Watt. He's not as fast as J.J. Watt. He doesn't make anywhere near as much of an impact as J.J. Watt. And I'm not even talking about Houston Texans J.J. Watt or prime J.J. Watt. I'm talking like Wisconsin J.J. Watt. Taven Bryan is my 97th ranked player.
Yeah.
Man, we have had so many guys where the draft media and myself are just like opposite ends of the fucking spectrum. Marcus Davenport, Taven Bryan. Taven Bryan and Josh Sweat. Draft Twitter just needs to get a room with these two guys. Because Josh Sweat, I have seen so many fucking times about how I can show you 15 plays, 15 clips as to why Josh Sweat is a top 10 player in this draft. Well, I can show you the other 800 snaps he was in this year. And of those 800 snaps or whatever, I can show you 200 that show why he is absolutely not a top 10 pick.
Yeah.
Or, his tape was bad, but he went to the combine and he was an athletic freak. Okay, but his tape was really bad.
And I was about to, some people fall in love with the athletic freaks, right? And that's no exception with drafts like this. Marcus Davenport, serious man crush. Taven Bryan, serious man crush. Josh Sweat, all guys who tore it up in the underwear, in the underwear Olympics. But
Jerron Christian, the tackle from Louisville, he's kind of had people come around, including myself. I had him as undrafted up until last week. Now I've got him as a round 3 guy. But one guy that a lot of people also really like on Twitter that I have no idea why is Fred Warner from BYU. I've seen him referred to as an athletic freak, and he ran similar numbers to guys like Van Der Esch, and
He's not.
no one mentions how Van Der Esch is a great athlete, or like, Jerome Baker, Rashawn Evans type numbers. It's like, that's not an athletic freak. That's like, and also Fred Warner's tape sucks. So
yeah. And moving on.
Yeah, moving on. Sorry, fuck you, draft Twitter.
New Orleans, we're on the clock right now. I honestly love what New Orleans been doing. You look at their draft last year, probably one of the best ever.
Maybe I mean, they did better than I did last year picking for them. I picked Deshaun Watson and Ryan Ramczyk, and they somehow managed to fall into Marshawn Lattimore, and who did they
Ryan
get?
Ramczyk.
Did they get Ramczyk it? Yeah, they did get Ramczyk it. Yeah.
And then Marcus Williams and Kamara. I mean,
how good was Alvin Kamara this year? Oh,
man, I loved watching that guy play.
Not to mention Trey Hendrickson. Like, man, they fucking killed.
I mean, they had a solid draft class, and one which I think is putting them in a solid position to contend for years. Drew Brees still has it, just re-signed there. They have the pieces on the offensive line. They have the pieces on the defense. They're putting them together, and I think this is a pick now where we say, who is the most impactful person on the board, and who comes in and helps us the most, right? I look at who I still have on the board here, and I think of where they could use some help, and I think this one here is addressing one of the weaknesses in which they've had for a while now on the defensive side of the ball, which they've struggled with, and I think I'm taking one of our good old Crimson Tide boys. I'm taking linebacker Rashawn Evans.
Hey, I like Rashawn Evans.
I'm putting him in there because New Orleans again has had troubles for a long time in the pass game, in the run game, in the pass game, in the run game, in the pass game, in the run game. And I think you put this guy in here a little bit who can do everything on the field, and he's going to command your defense, and you're stealing him away at the bottom of this pick here, at the bottom of the first round, and you plug him in. He's going to be an immediate replacement for, Stephon Anthony they have there?
He's gone.
Oh, he's gone? So Manti Te'o's still there, which, I mean, his fake girlfriend's a better replacement. And
yeah,
it's never going to die down.
Is a Dolphin, I believe, now.
Oh, yeah, maybe that makes sense.
Yeah, their current linebackers are AJ Klein, Alex Anzalone, and Demario Davis.
Anzalone had a good season when he was healthy.
Yeah. I like to pick. I mean, Rashawn Evans is, as my board is all sorts of fucked up right now. He's 35 on my board. I don't know. He's been kind of up and down for me in the last couple of weeks, but I got nothing against him. I like the pick. He fits a need. He fits what they're looking for as well. So
yeah, big time.
And man, I just realized that Hawoli Kaha isn't even starting for the Saints anymore. Fuck.
Yeah.
All right, I am on the board now with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I mean, if Darius Geis was still available, he'd very easily not be available after this. We mentioned it. It's one of the more predictable divisions that they're in. They need a lot of toughness in that division. But this is a team that really doesn't have a lot of needs. Juju played really well last year. Martavis Bryant appears to finally not be smoking, too much weed. But there is one need there. I don't really want to. I don't want to make this pick so bad for selfish reasons. But I think I have to, or I might have to make a different pick because you know what, Bud Dupree has not really been that great. T.J. Watt did amazing for Pittsburgh last year, better than I think any of us would have expected. That defensive line is really good with Cameron Haywood, Javon Hargrave, Stephon Tuitt. But man, Bud Dupree, he's still like just as raw as he was when he came out. And I think it's time for a change there. And I'm going to go with a guy who's got a little bit of bulldog in him, that fight. I'm going to go Lorenzo Carter.
Okay.
Okay.
I just think that when you've got a guy that is 6'5", 6'6", 250, a proven pass rusher at a proven school. You know, we're talking about a guy who basically just whipped, Mike McGlinchey up and down that field when they faced Notre Dame, played really well against schools like Auburn, and he played well in the national title game against Alabama. And when you've just got that resume speaks for itself, not to mention his profile size-wise fits Leonard Floyd from a couple years ago. And Leonard Floyd went top 10.
Yeah, no, yeah, all good points.
Yeah, I don't really have any issues with it.
Yeah, I think that kind of sets. I think you guys kind of know why I went with that pick and not the pick I initially was going to give them. We might have to get back on that later. Anyways, Jeremy, we're going to try to wind this down because we've been going on for a while. You're on board next. 29 Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yep. Jaguars were really one of the surprise teams last year.
Yeah,
it's almost like when you have a superstar running back and Blake Bortles does have to throw it 50 times a game to do well. I think we said that last year. Pick Leonard Fournette. You don't have to have Blake Bortles throw it. You can hide his weaknesses, and you might be good.
Yeah, and I mean, it's sort of a running trend here. It's kind of what happens when you're one of the best teams in the NFL and drafting this late. There really isn't many major needs on this team. I mean, offensive line could use some help. The defense is just incredibly stacked everywhere. Maybe give Bortles another couple weapons just because they did lose their top two receivers in Robinson and Hurns this offseason. And let me just make sure. Looking at the board, I think there's only been one receiver taken.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, at this late in the first to, I think, be able to pretty much pick who you want is going to be a real steal. And I think I'm going to give Blake Bortles a big body guy who could develop into a number one. And whoever the next quarterback is after Blake Bortles, because I don't see him lasting that long, is going to have a legit number one. I'm taking Cortland Sutton out of SMU.
Love it. And, one of the reasons why I love it is Jacksonville somehow, this isn't talked about with them at all when it comes to a lot of the drafts you see online and shit, is that they lost not only Hurns, but they also lost Allen Robinson, and no one seems to be talking about it, which is just, it boggles the mind as to how the fuck you lose your top two wide receivers.
And nobody talks about that.
I mean,
no one does talk about Jacksonville, so.
I know they have a lot of faith in D.D. Westbrook, and they like Marquise Lee. So,
well, I know they like Marquise Lee as well, but like the problem with Marquise Lee is, with a D.D. Westbrook is he's like 112 pounds.
Yeah, true.
And so is the other guy, Kalen Clay. He had a good season for an undrafted guy.
Oh yeah.
Forgot about him.
But I think that when you sorry, turn my camera back on. I think that when you lose your top two wide receivers in the same offseason, one, out of your control because he was an unrestricted free agent, but one in your control because they signed Allen Hurns to a 4-year deal and cut him after year one. You need to make that replacement. So, I like Cortland Sutton. He's not my number 2 receiver. He's my number 3 receiver.
Yeah, me too. Behind DJ Moore.
Behind DJ Moore. He is, where is he? He's 38 on my board. Kind of that, I've only got 19 first round grades. So, kind of that like mid-second, but definitely a possibility at the end of round 1. So,
No, I think
you've got the Vikings.
Minnesota were up. I've been spending some time looking over the roster and looking at who's left on my board here to see where's a perfect pairing, and I can't find many places. And I thought maybe center, but Pat Elflein had a good year last year. There's no guards
really
in this
did.
area who can fit it. No tackles really left on the board who can actually fit this pick. I mean, maybe you could reach for one, but I don't think so. Then I stumble across the tight end position. I see we have Kyle Rudolph, who's been proficient, right? But kind of, I guess, on the back end of his career. And you always want a guy to kind of, have one guy to do the dirty work and another guy to kind of spell a little bit. And they have one kind of hybrid within Kyle Rudolph and then mostly blocking tight ends after that. I'm going to go with, my number one tight end. And I'm going to give him Hayden Hurst here.
Okay. Now, I mean, you were talking about Kyle Rudolph getting up there in age, and he's 28. And I think it's kind of funny that you mentioned, a guy getting, up there in age. And of course, Kyle Rudolph turned 29 during the season. You mentioned, a guy getting up there in age, and then you draft a guy that's only a couple years younger than him.
Yeah, but he being in the NFL ages you differently.
Yeah.
And again, I consider Mike Gesicki here, so you get a little bit of height on this offense. You get a little bit of big body, and Kirk Cousins gets a little bit of that jump ball mentality and throw to and stuff like that. But I would rather take the extra years of age in Hayden Hurst and sacrifice what I might get with the youth of Gesicki.
I get your point. There is one player I would probably, if I were you, I would have picked if I were the Vikings. You've got Harrison Smith at free safety, and then you've got Andre Sendejo still somehow holding on to a roster spot and a starting job in the year 2018. And he's going to be 31 by week 1. And Ronnie Harrison is available.
Yeah,
or Justin Reed, either one of them.
I thought safety for sure, and considering their kind of skill sets, and I didn't think Sendejo had a bad year last year. I don't think he played terribly, and at times is he Harrison Smith? No, and I think that overshadows him a little bit in terms of we overlook what he's able to do and kind of point out his flaws because Harrison Smith is automatic. The guy's amazing, right? So yeah, you could have gone safety with this pick, but you just invest $80 million into Kirk Cousins. We want to make sure we're giving him all the weapons possible to succeed.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Jeremy's second last pick with the Patriots again. Kind of funny. I think a lot of people expect there to be some corners come off the board. We've only had 2. We've only had one deep. Have we had one? Two defensive linemen. No centers, 3 guards, 2 offensive tackles, 2 tight ends, 2 running backs, the 5 quarterbacks that everyone expects, 4 linebackers, and only the 2 safeties. So, had some surprises. The Patriots are kind of Fort Knox when it comes to letting out what they're going to do. Wonder what they're going to do now that they've got a second first-round pick, something they don't normally have.
Yeah, I mean, like I stated a little bit earlier, they've got some pretty glaring needs now. Offensive line is the biggest one, but like it was just said, there's really nobody left on the board. Maybe like a Billy Price or something, but even at that, I don't think so. Already addressed edge rusher earlier in the draft with Harold Landry, so the only real need left that I could see is linebacker, and I'm going to take a guy who over the course of his college career was raved about by how athletic he was and just could never seem to get it right mentally. And I think if you give Bill Belichick just his athleticism and just teach him and let him just work with that body of work, I think you can turn him into something real special. And it's a homer pick going with Malik Jefferson.
I hate you so much.
Nice.
You knew where I was going for 32 already, didn't you?
Yeah, well, you showed your hand when I talked about Connor Williams.
Oh,
he said, you might not make it out of the first round. I looked, I saw Philadelphia at 32. I said, Fuck you, Mike. I know where you're going already.
Fuck both of you.
To be honest, I didn't even
so
like
much.
think of that.
Oh, you guys know how much I love to slot my favorite players to the Eagles.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, that's a great pick, though. You know exactly
That's
what
a
you said,
fantastic
Jeremy.
pick.
You
I
give
mean,
him the bill, you sort him out right away. You do your fucking job, Malik. The guy's going to be an all-pro.
let's put it this way. When this draft process started, and when I say this draft process started, I don't mean January. I don't mean February after the combine. Lawson, you know when my draft process starts. It's July.
Yeah.
Because I hate myself. And it took me a long time before Malik Jefferson started falling down those rankings. I mean, it was like at the beginning of the year, it was like Malik Jefferson, Azim Victor, who, Jesus, where is he? Azim Victor is now my 24th ranked linebacker. So that shows what type of year he had with the coming off an injury and whatever. But then, Roquan Smith comes up, and then Tremaine Edmonds comes up, and Leighton Vander Esch, and Rashawn Evans. And, I knew one thing by the time the draft process was starting to wind down to where we are now, that at no point was Jerome Baker going to move in front of Malik Jefferson. And Malik Jefferson is firmly entrenched as my number 4 linebacker. And my comp for him is, you guys remember Devondre Campbell from a couple years ago? Mm-hmm. The kid from Minnesota?
Yep.
Who's now playing in Atlanta?
Yep.
The same things that were talked about with Campbell, I see with Jefferson, but I see a much better athlete. Malik Jefferson is like an elite athlete playing linebacker. But I'm not sure mentally how he's able to, his mental processing at times is a little shoddy. And that's why I think sometimes instead of playing him as like a 3-4 middle linebacker or anything like that, or a 4-3 middle linebacker, I would almost maybe lean towards putting him as an edge rusher. And that was a lot of the conversation they had about Devondre Campbell. Yeah, I fucking love Malik Jefferson. If he makes it to 32 and the Eagles draft him in real life, I'm going to be very happy. But you know what?
Just one quick thing to build off that. I'm just watching Texas this year. They I noticed that they did use him a lot as the an edge rusher.
Yeah, he had like 5 or 6 sacks this year or something.
Yeah, and just a lot of blitzing a lot and just using him a lot in the backfield. And like you said, just not being all there mentally. I remember Tom Herman saying a couple of times over the course of the season, it seemed like he was like evaluating like mid play and then reacting instead of just instinctively just going.
Mm-hmm. So that leaves me with the Super Bowl 52 champions, the Philadelphia Eagles.
Flaunt it, baby. Flaunt it.
Absolutely. I think it's really funny that last year we had what the fuck is that old man's name? The old guy that got the Philly crowd riled up.
Oh, Drew Pearson?
Drew Pearson. I thought it was something Harper, and then I realized that was a different guy. Drew Pearson, who talked so much shit, got that crowd riled up so much, in Philly, and then Philly wins the championship. And I was hoping that for pick 32, the Eagles would do what the Eagles should do and return the favor and send out a Philly great to rile up the Dallas crowd just to rub it in. And then I saw a video that it's actually some season ticket holder announcing pick 32. So unfortunately, we won't get the glory of like Brian Dawkins or Donovan McNabb or I was going to say Terrell Owens, but I don't think that would happen in a million years. Like a Jeremiah Trotter, like one of these like
nice.
Brian
Westbrook.
Brian Westbrook, Trey Thomas, like one John Runyon's a congressman now.
Buddy Ryan.
Yeah. Buddy Ryan.
The ultimate throwback.
Trey Thomas, like one of those like old school Eagles guys from like the late 90s, early 2000s that go out there in Dallas and announce the pick. but we're going to pretend that that's going to be that's what happens anyways. And instead, we're going to go out there, and of course, we mentioned this earlier. Philadelphia, they're the toughest team to pick for because they don't really have a lot of needs. I mean, you've got Alshon, you've got Nelson Aguilar. I really want Dez to play in Philadelphia just as a giant middle finger to Cowboys fans. They don't need a running back because, I mean, Jay Ajayi is really fucking good. And, Wendell Smallwood is still bad at football. Donnell Pumphrey was still a bad pick last year, but Corey Clement turned out to be the best of those three running backs. And,
Yep.
He's done fine. There's no need at linebacker. Even Michael Kendricks has been potentially getting traded now for 3 years. There's no corner need because you've got Rasul Douglas, Jalen Mills played really well. Sidney Jones coming off the injury should be coming off the injury and playing really well. Ronald Darby was a great acquisition. Like left tackles in need, but there's no way in hell I would want them to get Colton Miller here or Martinez Rankin, who's another tackle I really like. This is just a really long-winded explanation as I try to figure out who the fuck I'm going to pick. Because, like I said, this is a really, really tough team to pick for. So I am going to steal this pick from fellow Eagles fan Jonathan Valencia at Breaking Football. I am going to, with the 32nd pick, select Ronnie Harrison from the University of Alabama.
Okay.
And the logic behind this one is if you look at the depth chart, the one potential weakness that this team has is at safety because Rodney McLeod is 27 years old and Malcolm Jenkins, I feel like, has been around forever. Malcolm Jenkins is low-key, already 30, will be 31 by the end of next season. And you can just have Ronnie Harrison play special teams for a bit. He's one of the things that he's known for is his ability to just light a dude up, have him cover, and then whenever you need that extra safety on the field, that extra defensive back on the field, you bring in Ronnie Harrison. You can send him on blitzes, whatever. You can use him as a dime linebacker even.
Yeah, obviously adds a lot of versatility to that defense. And I mean, again, it's hard to pick for a team that just won the Super Bowl. And
it's hard to pick for a team that just won the Super Bowl. It's even harder when that team that just won the Super Bowl is extremely young at so many positions.
Yeah, it's hard.
The Sixers won the championship, and
yeah,
I didn't just speak that into existence. That did not happen. No,
it's it's definitely a difficult situation. Ronnie's a great player. My pick for right here is DJ Moore, just to give you a little bit of flexibility and explosiveness on the offense. And
yeah, I mean,
again, that's the beauty of being 32. It's a luxury pick.
Yeah, exactly. And
you take whatever you like the most.
DJ Moore, or you know what? I honestly feel like Philly would probably just trade back because I don't know if Ronnie Harrison would still be there, but I think that they could trade back. They might, like a Christian Kirk, a DJ Chark, a Deion Kane, something like that. Like Deion Kane could be available in round 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only other really need that I could think of, and I mean, even at that, it's not really a need, is I'd say a second tight end and maybe like a Michael Gesicki or something like that. But
yeah, I mean, because Selleck did retire, or was
and
cut.
He lost Burton in free agency, but
yeah, but Burton wasn't worth what he got paid. But
but
no one was really worth what they got paid this year. Yeah, anyways, it's
Anthony Hitchens made like $9 million a year.
Yeah, it's 12:17 in the morning right now, my time, which means it's 1:17 in the morning Lawson's time. This went on a little later than we expected to. We got started a little bit later than we expected to. We had to fill a lot more time. Obviously, Lawson had some things come up. Don't worry about it. Hopefully y'all enjoyed this. This will be posted as soon as possible. Probably be ready by the time a lot of you wake up. So this would have happened last night. Before we get out of here, guys, Give me like one bold ass prediction for Thursday. I think I'll start with mine.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think that when the actual draft comes around, Colton Miller will be drafted before Connor Williams.
Yeah, I can see that. I think people are just obsessed with his athleticism and kind of overlooking some things about Connor Williams and overemphasizing certain things such as his small arm. So yeah, I can certainly see. Well, how tall is he? 6'9", Colton Miller, something like that.
6'7", 6'8", something like that. It's like,
yeah,
no, he might be about 6'9". You're right.
Yeah, you can see the gargantuan freak of Colton Miller drafted before Connor Williams, and I hope the Chargers are not the ones doing that, but we'll see. We'll see Thursday. My bold prediction for Thursday is that we see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 quarterbacks taken in the first round.
Mason Rudolph,
Luke Falk, someone who is unexpected that someone's going to trade back in at the end of the first round and take. I think, we'll see those 5 guys go somewhere within the top 20, but anywhere from 27 to 32, we'll see someone jump in and take another guy.
Yeah, I think Lawson, you missed this. Jeremy and I were discussing this when the stream launched. That we both thought 5 would get picked. We kind of think that maybe like if let's say Denver passes on it, then they'll trade back in and get it, or if Miami, yeah. Like, let's say Miami decides, there's no one there at 11. Maybe they decide they package 2, 3, and a 1 next year to trade back in and get whoever.
Yeah, something like that.
Or the Giants even trade back in and get another quarterback, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Jeremy, what about you?
I'll say 3 running backs go in the first round.
Barkley, Geis, and Sonny Michel.
Barkley, Geis, and then I think one of the Georgia boys, either Chubb or Michel.
Yeah, you know what? I saw it on Twitter today. It might have even been from our buddy Dre, Jeremy. The fact that Michel wasn't the starter and Nick Chubb was, and yet Michel is getting, all the hype. It's like, yeah, because it projects better. And Nick Chubb, I mean, just watch the national title game, and I think that shows you everything you need. When Michel was getting the ball, Georgia was dominating that game. Then Nick Chubb got the ball, and Georgia couldn't stay on the field.
Yeah.
Nick Chubb's my 8th ranked running back, so I've got him behind Barkley, Geis, Michel, Ronald Jones, Kerryon Johnson, Rashad Penny, and Mark Walton. There are a lot of guys that the media seems to pump up that I just don't like this year.
A good amount of running backs within the class too.
Oh yeah, like this is a really deep running back class.
Yep.
I mean, I think I've got 10 in the top 100, and then some of the guys after that I really like Josh Adams from Notre Dame, Justin Jackson from Northwestern, Demario Richard from Arizona State, instead of Kalen Ballage from Arizona State because he's certified trash. But yeah, like there's gonna be a really fun draft. I think. I think by the end of it, though, I'm just gonna be really happy that the draft's like over, because I feel like there's been a lot more volatility with this draft in terms of like having to watch what you say because everyone's offended at everything nowadays. So let's just remember, everyone, that this is a mock draft. These are fun. Whatever. People are going to get offended. People are going to call us idiots. People are going to, do whatever. Hopefully y'all enjoyed it. As always, guys, like, comment, subscribe, share, tell a friend, and tell another friend. For Jeremy and Lawson, this is Mike from King Kraken Sports, and we'll see you again soon.